Chapter 749. I'm going to kill you. Qian Aoshue clenched her teeth and immediately attacked Chu Yang. Her spiritual qi turned into a big river and struck out. The big river surged, rumbling, and went straight to Chu Yang. Roar, river martial spirit. Chu Yang secretly used the string of Buddha beads. With the help of the beads, he roared like a lion. The visible sound wave rushed out and completely collapsed the big river. The aftermath of the attack affected Qian Aoshue's body. The huge roar shook her mind violently. In an instant, all the anger and shame disappeared. She immediately sobered up and thought to herself, where did this little demon come from? He's actually so shocking. Woman, you're still in the right, aren't you? Qian Aoshue stopped talking. That's the way to behave. Chu Yang saw Qian Aoshue's appearance and laughed in his heart. Then, he felt that he had gone overboard. But after thinking about it, he couldn't help but get angry. Does this little girl have a brain? Now she's saying that she's my woman. Does she want to die faster? Chu Yang didn't even dare to show his face now. This woman was good. She forced herself to have a relationship with him. If those little gold rock kings knew about it, they would come to make trouble for her. Hey, I have to clean up this little girl's mess. Talking and doing things didn't matter. The more Chu Yang thought about it, the more unhappy he was. He couldn't help but get angry and shouted, Hey, woman, I just asked you a question. How dare you not answer me? No. Qian Aoshue clenched her teeth. She swore that if she had the chance, she would make this little boy cry for his mother and father. You really didn't worship the heaven and earth with my idol and enter the bridal chamber? No. Fortunately, Chu Yang patted his chest and said, My idol can still be saved. What do you mean? Little boy, what kind of look is that? What kind of expression is that? Am I bad? Qian Aoshue was irritated. Woman, let me ask you again. Have you ever liked my idol? No. Has my idol ever been interested in you? No. Haha. Chu Yang immediately laughed out loud. I knew it. My idol is so talented. How could he not have good eyesight? How could he take a fancy to a woman like you? How can my idol's woman be as shameless as you? Chu Yang was lying through his teeth. You. Qian Aoshue was so angry that she was about to go berserk again. But when she wanted to do something, Chu Yang glared at her, and she was silenced. I was wrong. Chu Yang pointed at Hai Shenglong. If she were my idol's woman, she would only need to glare and this thing would fly thousands of miles away. It wouldn't be able to find its way home and could only cry for its mother. Do you think that bastard Chu Yang is a god? Qian Aoshue was flustered and exasperated. She hated Chu Yang even more. That's not right. This woman is obviously lying. If I believe whatever she says, won't I look very stupid? Chu Yang mumbled to himself. Then, he said, Hey, that woman. I'm warning you. If you dare to lie to me, I will knock you over with a brick, strip you naked, and hang you up to dry. Strip. Qian Aoshue suddenly raised her hands and subconsciously protected her hair. Strip. Her body couldn't help but shrink. If that really happened, she really couldn't live. Haha. Qian Aoshue's scared look made Chu Yang laugh again in his heart. He thought that if this little girl knew his real identity, she would probably go crazy with anger. Hey, that woman. Let me ask you again. Have you ever worshipped the heaven and earth with my idol and entered the bridal chamber? Chu Yang asked the same questions again. Then, he felt that the time was almost right. If he went to the Five Elements sect's encampment now, it shouldn't arouse any suspicion. Chapter 750. Afterwards, Chu Yang naturally muttered to everyone, This won't do. This woman isn't enough to win our trust. Moreover, this is the first thing I'm going to do for my idol. I can't make a fool of myself. I can't mess this up. I have to be cautious. I have to go to the Five Elements sect and ask. Swish. Chu Yang's movements were extremely fast. Before Qian Aoshue could react, he had grabbed her by the waist and left like a gust of wind. As soon as he left, the crowd immediately started to discuss. This brat is simply a little devil. Anyone who falls into his hands will be begging for death. You just found out. This brat is the one who sold demons and bought candies. That's right. That. Lololo, I'm an expert in selling demons. I remember it clearly. That was still okay. This little devil is obviously not completely ferocious. This is not the complete form of his ferocity. A condor demon of the demon race said that he wanted to eat him. In the end, he ate his demon core raw and even his soul raw. That's what I call ferocious. Hai Shenglong knelt on the ground. Hearing the crowd's discussion, he was secretly regretful. Damn it. Why didn't I think of him? Swish. The crowd was startled by Chu Yang's return. Some of them even started to run away while crying for their parents. Why are you panicking? Freedom of speech. I understand this principle. Chu Yang's disdainful expression made the crowd feel relieved. Then, they saw this little devil smiling at Hai Shenglong. I came back mainly to beat him with a brick. Although I have something important to do, I have to finish it like this. Otherwise, I'll be further away from my idol. Soon, a huge brick appeared. Hai Shenglong wanted to dodge but he could not dodge it. With a bang, the brick hit the back of his head. He rolled his eyes and fainted. Swish. Chu Yang's figure moved, and disappeared without a trace again. The scene was dead silent. Looking at the big bump on the back of Hai Shenglong's head and the crack on his skull, they couldn't help but look at each other. This was indeed a little devil. While they were still in shock, Chu Yang arrived at the Five Elements sect's encampment in Sea Demon City at lightning speed. He rushed in directly, which alarmed all the people of the Five Elements sect. Then he pointed at Qian Aoshue and shouted, "Hey, let me ask you, is this woman mine and my idol's woman?" Qian Aoshue felt a little ashamed to live in front of a group of brothers and sisters. What's the situation? The chosen child, Cao Ju, Jin Duo, the Silver Wolf, Chu Renxian, Chengfeng, and the rest of the Five Elements sect were a little stunned by the sudden appearance of this kid. "Who's your idol?" Jin Duo asked. Then, his eyes suddenly locked onto Chu Yang's little face. Why did he feel that this little face was so familiar? Hey! Chu Yang was shocked. He immediately put his little hand on his waist and pointed at Jin Duo's nose with his other hand. "Hey, you little thing, listen to me carefully. My idol is the famous monster Chu Tianjiao, Chu Kuangren, Chu Tianjiao, Chu Kuangren, Chu Baiguang. It was a very long self-description and shameless self-praise. As soon as Chu Yang's voice fell, Jin Duo's eyes suddenly widened. His expression was as if he had discovered a big secret. "Hey, little kid, you're not the precious son of the monstrous Chu Yang, right? You're really of the same origin. You're all so shameless, haha. Damn it, I'm my own son." Chu Yang's little face darkened. He was very depressed. Jin Duo's question was not strange. Although Chu Yang looked like a 7 or 8-year-old, his appearance was still the same. "Hey, it's really possible." Cao Ju's eyes lit up. This little kid may really be the son of the monster Chu. Look at how similar he looks. He almost looks like junior brother Chu when he was a child. The saint child was also very surprised. At that moment, everyone in the Five Elements sect was in an uproar. Chu Renxian, Chengfeng, and Gongshong were also dumbfounded. When did Chu Yang have a child? Could it be that Chu Yang had left them in the dust in terms of cultivation? Could it be that he had also left them in the dust in other aspects? Could it be that he even had a child? Qian Aoshue couldn't help but be stunned. She had discovered this before, but she felt that it was impossible. However, everyone's reaction at this moment made her feel uneasy. Could it be that this little devil is really the son of that bastard? Chu Yang was speechless. This young master is me. Who else can I be if not myself? Come on, Monster Chu, call me uncle, Silver Wolf said with a smile. He came up and pinched his little face. Yes, little baby, call me uncle. Jin Duo also came up to join in the fun. Cao Ju pushed him away. Jin Duo, don't pretend to be young. You're older than the monster Chu. Let my little nephew call you uncle. Come on, little baby, call me uncle. Chapter 751. These things are all idiots. If I don't teach them a lesson, They will really go to heaven. Chu Yang gritted his teeth. He knew how vicious Cao Ju and Jin Duodwa's mouths were. He didn't want to be provoked anymore. Peng! A pair of heavenly rock wings condensed behind him. Spirit energy surged on his small hand and condensed into a huge brick. My little nephew is going crazy, haha. Jin Duoduo laughed. As expected of my little nephew. Like father, like son. The silver wolf also laughed. Cao Ju looked at Chu Yang's delicate little face. The veins on his face seemed to be jumping. He couldn't help but laugh. His little nephew was simply too cute. But they were doomed. Shua. Although Jin Duoduo was prepared for Chu Yang's move, Chu Yang still easily appeared behind Jin Duoduo and slapped him down. Ao tilde 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 the silver wolf cried like a ghost and a big bump appeared on the back of his head. At the same time, he cursed, $$, damn father, are you going to let me live? I am already so monstrous, my son is even more monstrous. My little nephew is beating up this old uncle. Uncle? I'll let your uncle do it. Chu Yang gritted his teeth and smacked the silver wolf with the brick. This time, he used more force than before. The silver wolf saw stars. This little nephew was so cruel. Jin Duoduo and Cao Ju saw the big bump on the back of the silver wolf's head. It even seemed like a small bump would appear and become the shape of a gourd. They couldn't help but feel a chill in their hearts. Jin Duoduo immediately screamed. Chu Yang also attacked him. He screamed and said, I say, little nephew, where did your anger come from, Peng? Before he finished speaking, he felt a sharp pain on the back of his head. He almost fainted and fell to the ground. Jin Duoduo was extremely shocked. How monstrous was his little nephew? I tried my best to dodge but couldn't even escape for 3 seconds. Little nephew, you are as inhuman as your father. Bang! He immediately got hit by Chu Yang's extra-large brick. He knew that the back of his head must be the same as the silver wolf. Hashuan. Jin Duoduo was cursing crazily in his heart. Fuck, this little bastard was too ruthless. Shua. Seeing Silver Wolf and Jin Duoduo's miserable state, Cao Ju dodged and shouted, little nephew, beating up your uncle is disgraceful. What you're doing is wrong. Swish. Swish. The two of them moved quickly. Cao Ju was truly capable. Later on, Chu Yang directly used the heavenly peng feather to augment the heavenly peng wings formed from his spirit chi. Only then did he manage to suppress Cao Ju. When Chu Yang smashed the brick down, a big bump immediately appeared on the back of Cao Ju's head. He was still angry, so he smacked the 3 of them one by one with the brick. I'll let your uncle win. How dare you act so young? I'll teach you a lesson. Cao Ju, Jin Duoduo, and the silver wolf wanted to cry but had no tears. Whose little nephew was so cruel? And this was under the condition that he showed mercy. Otherwise, their heads wouldn't just be bumps. Their skulls would crack and they would be knocked out in minutes. Chu Renxian, Li Chengfeng, Gong Shong, and the others looked at all this in shock. They were shocked and shocked. Not to mention that they couldn't catch up to Chu Yang, they couldn't even catch up to Chu Yang's son. What are you looking at? Do you want to be hit by the brick too? Chapter 752. Second brother, I'll have to trouble you. I can't reveal my identity now. Second brother? In the zither sound Saint Child's consciousness, he suddenly heard Chu Yang's voice transmission. Immediately, he was thrown into disarray. His eyes widened as he thought, this exquisite, beautiful, and ferocious brat in front of him is Chu Yang. The saint's son was a little dumbfounded. Second brother, can you not look like that? I'm already very hurt. Chu Yang's gloomy voice sounded. No matter how shocked the saint's son was, he could roughly confirm that this little kid in front of him was Chu Yang. Little brother, how did you become like this? With Chu Yang's current appearance, even if an old monster were to come, he would absolutely not be able to see any clues. Because the current Chu Yang was absolutely only 7 or 8 years old. This was not something that could be achieved by any kind of body-changing technique. Second brother, I'll tell you in detail later. Pretend that you can't beat him. After Chu Yang's voice transmission ended, he immediately pointed at the saint's son. Hey, you are the leader of this group of idiots. Where is my idol? Hurry up and tell me. The saint's son knew that this was Chu Yang, but when he looked at that exquisite little face and heard that tender voice, he was still a little confused. In the end, he couldn't help but want to laugh out loud. Whoosh! Chu Yang flew over at an astonishing speed, which shocked the saint's son. Then, he pretended to be restrained by Chu Yang. No, no, no. Don't give me a brick too. The saint child felt that his disguise was too different from his usual self, but that was all he could do. This was his limit. I don't know where your idol is. I can tell that you are honest at first glance. I think what you said is true. When Chu Yang spoke, Cao Ju and the other two were very depressed. This little nephew was too unkind. Why was the saint's son a good person, and they were bad people? You don't know where my idol is. Chu Yang suddenly pointed at Qian Aoxue. Then you should know whether this woman is my idol's woman or not, right? Of course I know. The saint child didn't know whether to laugh or cry. There was no need for her little brother to be ashamed of his junior sister. Qian Aoxue had already covered her face in front of all her brothers and sisters. She really had no face to live. Ha ha. Chu Yang laughed mischievously. You still know how to be shy. Seeing that you're my idol, I'll give you a way out for now. I won't embarrass you to death, haha. Also, in order to ensure that I get accurate information, I must interrogate you in isolation. Chu Yang was about to leave with the saint child, but his voice drifted back. After I finish interrogating this thing, I will come back to interrogate you guys. All of you better be mentally prepared. Soon, Chu Yang and the saint child reached a safe place. The saint child asked, Little brother, what happened to you? Reincarnation. Chu Yang sighed, extremely depressed. The saint child was shocked at first, then immediately became speechless. When she saw Chu Yang's bitter face again, she completely lost her temper. If it was reincarnation, it was a fortune that many people couldn't get even if they begged for it. In particular, some old monsters couldn't wait to use reincarnation to return to their old age. The reason why it was said to be a great fortune was that it was equivalent to living a second life. Especially Chu Yang, it was almost equivalent to superimposing two lives. It was simply unimaginable how powerful his life origin was. No wonder my little brother could trigger the Red Lotus hellfire. I'm afraid he has already sent millions of souls into reincarnation. The reason why he could do so is because he went through reincarnation and obtained this fortune. It should be a kind of good karma. The saint child guessed roughly, but the more she thought about it, the more shocked she became. Her little brother was really too heaven-defying. Not to mention the eastern wilderness, even in the East continent, he was definitely an unparalleled genius. Karma was an extremely important factor for those who had millions of souls in their hands, but not everyone could trigger reincarnation. To be exact, it should be impossible, but Chu Yang had done it. Chapter 753. Second brother, let's not talk about this depressing matter anymore. Depressing? Why don't you let me down as well? Saint Sun Zither Melody was speechless again. Chu Yang was obviously taking advantage of the situation. Second brother, the desolate demon isn't dead. He's just being suppressed by the Eastern Wilderness Great Emperor on Emperor Island. Chu Yang's voice turned slightly serious. This time, when Emperor Island opens, the demon race is preparing to rescue the desolate demon. The desolate demon isn't dead. Saint Sun Zither Melody was shocked. He knew about Emperor Island and the Eastern Wilderness Great Emperor. Naturally, he knew about the desolate demon. If the desolate demon wasn't dead and was rescued by the demon race, the Eastern Wilderness would be in for another calamity. It was no wonder that Chu Yang, who was always laughing and joking, had become serious at this time. Also, Chu Yang spoke again. Before the desolate demon was suppressed, he left behind 7 desolate demon eggs. Now, a desolate demon prince has hatched. With the desolate demon prince, the demon race is trying their best to plunder the Eastern Wilderness's natural source. What? Saint Sun Zither Melody was shocked again. This news was too shocking. Not only did a desolate demon prince hatch, but the Eastern Wilderness's natural source was being plundered by the demon race. Little brother, are you sure? The news was too shocking, and the consequences were unimaginable. Saint Sun Zither Melody couldn't believe it and asked again. It shouldn't be wrong. Chu Yang frowned and said, I got this news from the souls of an eagle demon and a condor demon. The demon race is also very wary of me. They are afraid that I will enter Emperor Island and ruin their plans. They are scheming to eliminate me before Emperor Island opens. The desolate stone was actually a piece of evidence, but it was all absorbed by Chu Yang. Apart from that, I also looted the little golden rock king and the others and obtained something that they called the desolate stone. The energy contained in the stone can not only nourish the body, but also the mind and soul. I'm sure that the energy contained in the stone is most likely the Eastern Wasteland's source energy. Chu Yang also explained the desolate stone in detail. The Zither Saint frowned and sighed. If that's the case, then this matter is pretty much settled. Once they obtain the Eastern Wilderness's natural source, the demon race's strength will continue to increase. The longer this goes on, the more unimaginable the consequences will be. Second brother, that's why I came to see you. Chu Yang then exhorted, Second brother, when you pass the news back, you must be careful. Now, I reckon that because of me, there are definitely a lot of things that are eyeing you. I know. Saint Child Zither thought for a while and said, Little brother, we can also tell this secret to Sea Demon City. Yeah. Chu Yang slapped his thigh and said, if the Sea Demon City sends the news, then it will be even more foolproof. Although the Sea Demon City had a close relationship with the demon race, stealing the natural source of the Eastern Wilderness was something that the city lord of the Sea Demon City, Hai Wuya, was not willing to see. After all, he was also a creature of the Eastern Wilderness. The demon race would rise again and completely crush the human race. This was not something that Hai Wuya wanted to see. If at that time, the power of both sides would be unbalanced, and he would not be able to act like a fish in water between the two sides. He might even be annihilated by the demon race. Also, Saint Sun Chinyan added, other than the demon race, you have to pay more attention to the Longhu sect, the Wei nation, the Qi nation, the Wu nation, and the Han nation. They might have designs on you, especially the Longhu sect and the Wei nation. Dragon Tiger sect. Chu Yang was somewhat surprised. The Wei country was easy to understand. After all, he had killed the Wei country's third princess and the city lord of the Metal Origin city. That's right. Saint Child Zither nodded and said, the Dragon Tiger sect and the Soul Devourer clan used to be very close. I heard that when the Soul Devourer clan was besieged, someone from the Dragon Tiger sect tipped off the Soul Devourer clan in advance. The elders think that the Dragon Tiger sect might be problematic. Therefore, if you meet the Dragon Godson and Tiger Godson of the Dragon Tiger sect, you must be careful. Emperor Island appeared again. This time, the princes of Wei, Wu, Qi, and Han country had all come. The Dragon Tiger sect and Seven Stars sect had also come. At this moment, in the Sea Demon City, there were many heroes gathered. There were crooks mixed in with the honest folk. Undercurrents surged, and dangers lurked. It was extremely complicated. Chapter 754. Second brother, I will be careful. Don't worry. The situation was getting more and more complicated. Chu Yang thought deeply and realized that anyone could be his enemy. Especially since he had been in the limelight recently. It could be said that he had become the target of public criticism. The Emperor Island had a cultivation realm restriction. Only those below the Soul Wheel realm could enter. With the battle results that Chu Yang had displayed, he could be said to be invincible among those below the Soul Wheel realm. On the Emperor Island, no one would have thought that there was someone like Chu Yang, who could be called a tyrant, who would snatch away all their fortunes. Therefore, even if those people had no enmity with Chu Yang, it would be the best choice for them to eliminate Chu Yang. This is a little troublesome. Chu Yang's small face turned serious, which made the Zither Saint Sun laugh involuntarily. She thought to herself, even a lawless demon like you has times when you are afraid. However, the Saint Sun only laughed. He could feel the pressure from Chu Yang. Once Chu Yang entered the Emperor Island, he would definitely be targeted by the demon race and might even become the public enemy. Fortunately, Chu Yang had turned back to 7 or 8 years old because of the reincarnation. The enemies had lost track of him. Otherwise, he would probably have to face endless assassination attempts. Some old monsters might even come out to deal with Chu Yang. Second brother, Chu Yang suddenly said, "My identity can't be exposed now. I can't use the artifacts on me." "What artifacts do you have? Lend them to me first." Chu Yang did feel the pressure. His current cultivation realm was not enough to face all of this. "Yes, of course." The Saint Sun laughed. "However, there is no need to lend them. Anyway, I don't like this item. I will give it to you." As he spoke, he took out an ancient bottle. It floated in the air like a cloud. There were only 2 colors on it, black and white. There was a dragon-shaped curve on each side, separating the 2 colors. This is the Yin-Yang 4 symbols bottle. It's a peak soul wheel realm artifact. It's only a few strands away from becoming a spirit realm artifact. It can suck enemies into the bottle, refine them into pus, or burn them into ashes. Saint Sun Qinyin Sound took out the Yin-Yang 4 symbols vase, and his face turned extremely gloomy. The Gongsun family of the East Continent has a supreme treasure, the Yin-Yang 4 symbols vase. This is a replica of it, and it's very ordinary. It doesn't even have 10% of the real Yin-Yang 4 symbols vase's power. The Gongsun family of the East Continent. The might of a high-grade artifact in the Soul Wheel realm was only SOSO. Chu Yang narrowed his eyes. Compared to the East Continent, the Eastern Wilderness was just a small place. Of course, he also noticed the Saint Child's abnormality. Although she was not in a good mood, he still asked out of curiosity, "Second brother, have you been to the East Continent?" "You've been to the East Continent." Saint Child Qinyin smiled sadly. "I'm from the East Continent. To be exact, I fled from the East Continent to the Eastern Wilderness." Saint Child Qinyin was from the East Continent. Chu Yang was very surprised. He had never expected this. Judging from Saint Child Qinyin's tone, there must be a lot of stories behind this. Saint Child Qinyin suddenly said, "Big brother was targeted because of me. One of his arms was chopped off." "What?" Chu Yang's pupils shrank. Big brother Chu Fei was crippled in the East Continent, and his cultivation was crippled. There was such a reason behind it. No wonder Big Brother didn't mention it in detail. The enemy was probably extremely powerful. Second brother, Chu Yang narrowed his eyes. "Tell me, who chopped off my big brother's arm?" At the mention of this person, Saint Child Qinyin's face twisted. She gritted her teeth and said word by word, "Gongsun Long." Chapter 755. The Saint Son of Zither Sound was actually a member of the Gongsun family in the East Continent. Internal strife within an aristocratic clan, and brothers killing each other, Chu Yang finally understood. The Saint Son of Zither Sound told him everything. His real name was Gongsun Wushang, and he was the son of a concubine. He had no status in the Gongsun family. He didn't care much about it until one day, his mother angered Gongsun Long's mother over a small matter, and Gongsun Long killed his mother with a palm strike. His mother's death was like the death of a bug. There was no explanation for it. The reason was simple. Not only was Gongsun Long the eldest son, but he was also the supreme genius of the Gongsun family. His martial soul was the supreme treasure of the Gongsun family, the Yin-Yang 4 symbols vase. The Zither Sound Saint Sun could still clearly remember the scene that day. His mother had been beaten to death by Gongsun Long, and his bullshit father hadn't even said a single word to blame Gongsun Long. Instead, he had just lost his mother and was heartbroken. Not only had he been ruthlessly scolded, he had even been severely punished. What happened next was simple. The Saint Son of Zither Sound endured and worked hard to avenge his mother, but Gongsun Long couldn't let him do as he wished. Therefore, the Saint Son of Zither Sound escaped from the Gongsun family and the East Continent. In the end, he fled to the Eastern Wilderness. Chu Yang remained silent for a long time. It was no wonder that Saint Child Zither Melody would always smile faintly when he, Cao Ju, Saint Child Violence, Jin Duo Duo, and the others were having fun together. His smile had never fully spread. He had something in his heart, and he had hatred and resentment. How could he smile? The zither sound Saint Child looked at the silent Chu Yang. Suddenly, a ray of sunlight seemed to penetrate through the haze in his heart and fell on him. Perhaps, meeting Big Brother is the luckiest thing in my life. Having such a younger brother doesn't necessarily mean that I won't be able to take my revenge. Gongsun Long was a peerless genius. Moreover, he had the Gongsun family behind him, which was such a huge family. Therefore, the saint son of Zither Sound had once despaired. But now, he saw Chu Yang, who was even more monstrous than Gongsun Long. This was definitely not an exaggeration. Even if Gongsun Long had tens of millions of souls in his hands, the Saint Son was sure that Gongsun Long would definitely not be able to trigger the cycle of reincarnation and send them to the afterlife. Therefore, Saint Child Zither Music was now very convinced that in terms of talent, Gongsun Long was nothing but trash in front of Chu Yang. Little brother, I'll give you this replica yin-yang 4 symbols vase. A faint smile appeared on the Saint Son's face. He seemed to have seen the scene of Gongsun Long being killed by Chu Yang. Although he was incompetent, and although he was not the one who killed his enemy, this person was his younger brother. He also firmly believed that such a scene would definitely appear. With Chu Yang's performance, he had stirred up the entire eastern wilderness. Music could even imagine how the Gongsun family would be turned upside down. It's time for me to get ready. The Saint Son of Zither Sound's thoughts had drifted far away. As soon as he heard Chu Yang's voice, he was pulled back to reality. Second brother, isn't it just Gongsun Long? Do you have to be so gloomy all day? I think if our mother knew, she would come back from the netherworld and beat you up. Chapter 756. East Continent. The Saint Child Zither melody was lost in her thoughts. Suddenly, she remembered something and laughed. Little brother, I heard that your fiancée is very beautiful. No wonder you don't like junior sister Aoshue. This sudden attack caused Chu Yang to be slightly embarrassed. However, in his mind, he could not help but think of the little girl who was trembling and insisted on sleeping with him during the thunder. Her little face gradually became clearer in Chu Yang's mind. East Continent. Once the Emperor Island is over and I return to the Five Elements sect to kill the Five Elements Divine Son, I should be heading there. However, Chu Yang quickly pulled back his thoughts. Holding the yin-yang 4 symbols vase in his hand, he couldn't help but laugh sinisterly. With this thing, not only can I collect souls, but I can also collect people. Let's see who still dares to provoke me. I'll kill them all. That wasn't all. The Saint Child Zither melody looked at Chu Yang's sinister smile and was speechless again. She felt that someone was going to be in big trouble. After that, Chu Yang asked the Saint Child Zither melody about the realms. In the soul wheel realm, the soul wheel would be formed and the spirit would be condensed. This was the spirit realm. There were 9 levels in the spirit realm. With each level, the connection between the spirit and the world would be closer. There would also be an additional divine bridge behind the spirit, connecting with the world. It was as if the world was the cultivator's paradise. After the spirit realm was the soul fusion realm, also known as the second soul ascension realm. When the spirit and martial soul fused, the martial soul would be upgraded again. After that were the transcendence realm, nirvana realm, life and death realm, and so on. Finally, the Saint Child Zither melody mentioned something again. Little brother, the burning sky Saint Child is also here this time. You have to be careful. The burning sky Saint Child? Chu Yang said casually. Second brother, with this thing, it's no different from killing a dog for me. The burning sky Saint Child and the Saint Child Zither melody didn't get along, so they naturally didn't go the same way. There was nothing wrong with Chu Yang's words. The Zither melody Saint Child smiled and said, this time, he is escorting the son of the sect master. I'm afraid he has some backing. The sect master's son. Chu Yang was surprised again. That's bullshit. How did a son suddenly appear? Who knew that he would appear out of nowhere? The Zither melody saint said. The sect master admitted it himself. Can you deny it? Why do I feel like there's something strange about this? Chu Yang did not trust the Five Elements sect's sect master at all. Furthermore, he had always suspected that there was something wrong with him. After the two of them finished their discussion, they split up. The zither melody Saint Sun sent the news back to the Five Elements sect, while Chu Yang used a secret method to inform the Sea Demon City Lord Hai Wuya of the Fiend Race's scheme. At the same time, the news of Chu Yang beating up Hai Shenglong and breaking into the Five Elements sect's encampment quickly spread. Everyone in Sea Demon City knew about it. It could be said that Chu Yang had stolen his own limelight. Right now, his identity as a little brat was the center of attention, and Sea Demon City was abuzz with discussions. Did you hear? That little brat who sold demons gave Hai Shenglong a good beating today. That's already considered light. He only got hit with a brick. Hai Shenglong is already very lucky that he wasn't stripped naked and hung under the sun. That's right, that little brat idolizes Brick Chu. I heard that the Five Elements sect was also taken care of by that little brat. Do you think that he will clash with his idol Brick Chu? Then, we can only wait and see. In any case, whether it is that little brat or Brick Chu, they are not playthings. Whoever knows what is going on in their heads is definitely a god. That's not what I'm curious about. What I'm curious about is how the City Lord Mansion will react. Do you guys think that the City Lord will make a move to deal with that little brat? After all, Hai Shenglong has lost a lot of face this time. The Sea Demon City was filled with turbulent undercurrents. Everything appeared to be even more noisy and disorderly. Chu Yang naturally knew about these discussions, but he didn't care. If Hai Wuya made a move against a little brat like him, that would be too shameful. Therefore, if the City Lord Mansion couldn't bear this, then at most, it would be Hai Wuya's eldest son, Hai Shenghai, who would come to find trouble with him. Hai Shenghai was on the same level as the little Gold Rock King. Chu Yang felt a bit of pressure, but he wasn't worried. His main concern was what kind of chain reaction would it cause after the news spread out. Would there be a huge storm that would affect and change the current situation? Would there be some kind of major change in the trip to Emperor Island? Perhaps, in the Eastern Wilderness, a great war between the human race and the demon race would break out immediately. After a night passed, Chu Yang didn't receive any news, nor did the City Lord of Sea Demon City arrive. Instead, he received an unexpected person, the Burning Sky Saint Sun. Chapter 757. The Burning Sky Saint was here to find Chu Yang. No, to be more precise, he was here to find the brat. Of course, he didn't know that the brat was Chu Yang. The Burning Sky Saint had requested a quiet room. Chu Yang wanted to see what kind of trick he was going to play, so he agreed. After sending everyone away, the Burning Sky Saint asked politely, "May I know your name, little brother?" The Burning Sky Saint kept smiling and spoke as if he was on the same level. A strange smile appeared on Chu Yang's delicate face. He said, "Burning Sky Saint, right? Do you want to hear the truth or a lie? Little brother, you must be joking." The Burning Sky Saint's smile stiffened. Chu Yang was too rude and didn't give him any face. TSK. Chu Yang looked at him with disdain. "You want to use such a method to find out the identity of this brat? Are you stupid or am I stupid?" However, after thinking about it, Chu Yang felt that it was possible. If the brat wasn't himself, he might have said his name. Good method. "So, you want to hear the truth?" Chu Yang smiled, but he suddenly pointed at the Burning Sky Saint and said with disdain, "You don't have the right." The Burning Sky Saint's smile froze on his face. He was furious for a moment, but it disappeared in an instant. He cupped his fists and smiled again. He said apologetically, "Little brother, I was rude. Please don't mind." He changed the topic and said, "Little brother, I'm sorry for the offense. I'm actually worried about Junior Brother Chu. The burden of this trip to Emperor Island is all on Junior Brother Chu. He's under a lot of pressure right now, and little brother." He found it hard to say, but he finally said, "I'll say something that you don't want to hear. Little brother, you're not afraid, but when you make trouble, please don't bring Junior Brother Chu with you. Junior Brother Chu is on the cusp of the storm. His life might be in danger at any time." Junior Brother Chu. The burning heaven holy sun actually called his junior brother Chu. Was the sun rising from the west? Chu Yang felt as if he had heard the funniest joke in the world. The burning heaven holy sun was actually worried about his safety. Bang! Chu Yang was furious. He slammed the table with his little hand. Who dares to touch my idol? I'll kill his entire family and exterminate all 9 generations of his family. A strange light flashed through the burning heaven holy sun's eyes. Little brother, we understand your intentions, but I'll say something unpleasant. Little brother, you can't even protect yourself right now. Yes. Chu Yang's blinking beautiful eyes stared at the burning heaven holy sun like a fierce tiger. An evil smile appeared on his small face. So you're saying that you're looking down on me? The burning heaven holy sun was not afraid. He said bluntly, little brother, loyal words are unpleasant to the ear. Your strength is indeed not bad, but you haven't encountered a true test yet. Oh. Sure. Chu Yang's sudden movement shocked the burning heaven holy sun. When he wanted to react, it was already too late. However, he felt a small figure suddenly appear behind him and immediately felt a sharp pain in his head. Bang! He was smashed to the ground. Only now did he see that Chu Yang was holding a large golden brick. It was almost as big as Chu Yang's small body. The burning heaven holy sun was shocked. Although the distance was very short, I was already prepared. When this little bastard attacked, I couldn't even react. His strength is indeed extraordinary. That thing, how do you feel after being hit by that brick? Chu Yang looked down at the burning heaven holy sun from above. He said in a childish voice, I hope you don't make a mistake about one thing. My admiration for my idol is not because he is stronger than me, but because of how he conducts himself and how he conducts himself. He is my role model. Chapter 758. The burning sky saint sun was humiliated to the extreme and almost went berserk. However, a smile appeared on his face in the end as he apologized. I have eyes but failed to recognize Mount Tai. Please forgive me, little brother. His smile quickly turned into flattery. Little brother's ability is so profound. I have a presumptuous request. I hope that little brother can save my junior brother Chu when he is in danger. The burning sky saint sun stood up and bowed respectfully to Chu Yang, solemnly requesting. Chu Yang felt uncomfortable in his heart. He thought that he was shameless to the extreme. However, at this moment, he realized that he was still thousands of miles away. Ah! Chu Yang suddenly roared, that thing, let me ask you, is Chu Yang my idol or your idol? His little brother's idol, and also my idol. The burning sky saint sun's shamelessness and hypocrisy made Chu Yang unable to take the opportunity to flare up. He felt depressed. He cursed in his heart, burning sky saint sun, you're too damn shameless. You're so shameless that you've almost become my idol. I'm your enemy. You can't wait to eat my flesh and gnaw my bones. Now you're saying that I'm your idol. All of a sudden, Chu Yang felt that he should go to the Hu Hei Academy to further his studies. His so-called shamelessness paled in comparison to the holy sun of burning heaven. His naivety and kindness could move the heavens and move the earth. Oh, so my idol is also your idol. Why didn't you say so earlier? Chu Yang curled his lips and said, I say, that thing, you're so concerned about your idol that even I'm moved by you. Therefore, I've decided to pardon your great disrespect. It's good that little brother didn't misunderstand. The burning sky saint sun smiled and said, however, little brother, please keep it a secret for me. Don't let junior brother Chu know. Chu Yang thought, I already know, okay? Then, he prostrated himself in admiration. The burning sky saint sun was amazing. No one could be as shameless and hypocritical as him. It made him feel even more inferior, so much so that he became angry. Bang! His sudden roar scared the burning heaven holy sun. I say, that thing, worshipping your own idol, how is it a shameful thing? You worship, you admire, you should say it out loud. How dare you use worshipping your own idol as a disgrace? You deserve to die 1,000 times over. Chu Yang's little face was filled with righteous indignation. The burning heaven holy sun hurriedly said, after all, I am junior brother Chu's senior brother. Although I admire him, I am afraid that he will become arrogant. You're amazing. Fuck, you can even find such a reason for me. You've really put in so much effort for your junior brother Chu. Should I be moved to tears right now? Chu Yang rubbed his chin with his fair and tender hands and pondered, "What you said makes sense." However, he suddenly roared again, "No, my idol should be proud. He should be arrogant and domineering. He should be unscrupulous and do whatever he wants. He should be lawless and only be supreme. He should also be incomparably respected and noble. He should be a nobleman and be second only to one person. Otherwise, wouldn't it make me look very tasteless?" Chu Yang's shamelessness also broke through the sky. His boasting resounded throughout the world. "Yes, that's right." His little hand suddenly pointed at the burning heaven holy sun's nose. "Your understanding is wrong. I don't accept it. I order you now, quickly go out and shout 3 times, 'I regard Chu Yang as my idol. I am proud. I regard Chu Yang as my idol. I am proud.'" The burning heaven holy sun was immediately dumbfounded. He might as well be killed if he were to shout like that. "Is there a problem? Am I wrong?" Chu Yang blinked his cute eyes and fiercely glared at the burning heaven holy sun. "TTT that. Little brother, my face is thin. I really can't shout like that." Chapter 759. Bullshit. Chu Yang angrily roared again, "Is it shameful to treat my idol as my idol? This is a supreme honor. To be able to treat my idol as your idol means that you have awakened and comprehended. Your face should have infinite honor. My infinite honor is an asshole." The burning heaven saint sun almost wanted to explode and kill someone. However, when he thought of Chu Yang's strength, he immediately became cautious and said with incomparable difficulty, "Little brother, I've never been good at expressing myself. Moreover, I've always kept my admiration and reverence in my heart. I feel that if I say it out loud, it would be a blasphemy to this admiration and reverence." Damn! Chu Yang finally cursed in his heart. To think that the burning heaven saint sun could even think of such a reason. "Just how much of a flood do you have for me? You're saying that I'm blaspheming my idol, right?" Chu Yang's little face became stern. His eyes widened as he firmly stared at the burning heaven saint sun, as if he was about to explode. As for the burning heaven saint sun, for the first time in his life, he seemed to understand the meaning of being domineering. "Little brother, I didn't mean it that way." The burning heaven saint sun panicked and stuttered, Every person has a different way of worshipping their idols. If it's different, then let it be the same." Chu Yang said incomparably rudely, "You little thing, stop talking nonsense. Immediately go out and shout 3 times that I treat Chu Yang as my idol. I'm proud." "Little brother," the burning heaven saint sun's words were directly rudely interrupted by Chu Yang. "You little thing, are my words that hard to understand? Do you want me to tell you what it means?" At this moment, dense spiritual energy gathered in Chu Yang's little hand and condensed into an extra-large brick. When the burning heaven saint sun saw it, his eyes couldn't help but darken. However, how could he go out and shout, "I treat Chu Yang as my idol, I'm proud"? Just as he was at a loss for what to do, Chu Yang's childish voice immediately threatened, "If you still don't go, I'll knock you out with a brick, strip you naked, and hang you up to dry. Choose one of the two. Which one do you choose?" If it wasn't for the fact that the burning heaven saint sun clearly knew that he was no match for this brat, he would have already slapped this brat to death. Seeing that Chu Yang was about to make a move, he rushed out with a bang and yelled loudly, "I regard Chu Yang as my idol. I'm proud. I regard Chu Yang as my idol. I'm proud. I regard Chu Yang as my idol. I'm proud." As soon as the burning heaven holy sun's voice spread out, everyone from the 5-element sect quickly gathered around. The Qinyan Saint Sun, Cao Ju, the Silver Wolf, Jin Duo, Qian Aoshue, Chu Renxian, Cheng Feng, Gong Shong, and the other 5-element sect disciples were all present. After they arrived, they realized that it was the burning heaven saint sun who shouted, "I regard Chu Yang as my idol. I'm proud." They were immediately dumbfounded and looked at the burning heaven saint sun as if they had seen a ghost. There was a deathly silence. There wasn't a trace of noise. The burning heaven saint sun's face was red. His nose was red, his ears were red, his neck was red, and his eyes were red. His hair was also red like flowers were about to bloom. Shouting so softly that only a small group of people can hear it. What's the use? A tender voice reprimanded. You little thing, shout it again. Remember, if it's not loud enough this time, I'll knock you out with a brick, strip you naked, and hang you up to dry. I regard Chu Yang as my idol. I'm proud. I regard Chu Yang as my idol. I'm proud. I regard Chu Yang as my idol. I'm proud. Ha ha, Cao Ju, Jin Duo, and the Silver Wolf were the first to burst into laughter. Chu Renxian and the others from the Five-Element sect couldn't help but burst into laughter. Qian Aoshue also laughed. On her iceberg-like face, it was as if spring had arrived. The ice and snow had melted, and all things had recovered. Her face was covered in colorful flowers. Ha ha. The Qinian Saint Sun couldn't help but burst into laughter. The burning heaven Saint Sun was too ashamed to show his face. With a swoosh, he flew away. Finally, his voice floated over. Qinian Saint Sun, the sect master has something to tell you. Please follow me. Chapter 760. The burning sky saint only stopped when he was far away from the place of humiliation. He saw that the zither melody saint was already behind him, but he did not turn around. He said directly, "Can you confirm that the news he sent back yesterday is correct?" The burning sky saint's face was still red, his neck was still red, and his ears were still red. He was definitely not willing to let the zither melody saint see his ugly state and make a joke out of him. As for this it was naturally Chu Yang. Naturally, the news was sent by Chu Yang earlier. The zither melody saint also stopped. Naturally, he could understand. Is this questioning Chu Yang? However, how could Chu Yang joke about such a thing? The zither melody saint's expression could not help but turn cold as he questioned repeatedly. Do you have eyes? Do you have ears? Do you have legs? The burning sky saint was very rude, and his meaning was very clear. Since the burning sky saint did not believe it, he could go and verify it. Why bother asking? Could it be that he did not know that Chu Yang was his little brother? The burning sky saint's anger surged. He had just been greatly humiliated. At this moment, the zither melody saint was still mocking him. His anger surged, and he almost could not hold it in. He immediately turned around and wanted to kill the zither melody saint. Unfortunately, he did not have the ability to kill the zither melody saint. Crack! The burning sky saint clenched his teeth and said, "He is the true leader of our Five-Element sect's trip this time. I hope that he can shoulder this responsibility. Here we go again." Humph! The zither melody saint was enraged. He snorted coldly and said, "When did my little brother agree to be the leader this time? When did he promise to protect anyone?" Once again, the zither melody saint rudely rebutted everything back. Naturally, Chu Yang would protect the Five-Element sect's group. However, this was not his duty. The burning sky saint suddenly turned around. His face was distorted, and traces of blood crawled out of his eyes, making them look scarlet. However, his face was even redder. Are you trying to show me how ridiculous you look right now? The zither melody saint was not afraid of him at all. His words stabbed at the burning sky saint. Actually, I want to know when my little brother became your idol. And you're proud of it. This is really rare. I regard Chu Yang as my idol. I am proud of him. When this matter was brought up again, the humiliation was like a ferocious beast that swallowed the burning heaven Saint Sun whole. Rumble. The earth caved in and dust soared into the sky. The force of the explosion swept through everything, forming a violent gale that whistled loudly. After the burning sky Saint Sun vented his anger, he suppressed his anger and threw something at the zither sound Saint Sun. A five-colored light streaked across the sky and landed in the zither sound Saint Sun's hand. This is the Five Elements flag. The sect leader asked me to pass it to Chu Yang. The burning sky Holy Sun said coldly, "This time, the sect master hopes that he can let the Five-Element sect gain the upper hand in the Emperor Island." Shua. After he finished speaking, the burning heaven Holy Sun didn't want to stay for a moment longer. He flew away and disappeared in an instant. The zither tune saint looked at the Five Elements flag in her hand, her eyes flickering with uncertainty. There were originally 50 flags in the Five-Element flags, with 10 flags for each of the 5 elements. As the saying went, There were 50 great Taos and 49 great Taos. The 50 great Taos were the number of cycles. If they were all complete, how could there be any changes? Therefore, the 5-element flags became 49 flags in the end, with 9 flags for each of the 5 elements. For flags had no attributes, and the last flag was said to be a hidden flag. It was very mysterious and difficult to measure. The 5-element flags could be considered a treasure that symbolized the 5-element sect. It could be used to set up formations or as a weapon. Only a formation master could bring out the full power of the 5-element flags. Chapter 761. A Weasel Paying a Visit to a Chicken. What is he up to? The Zither Melody Saint checked the 5-element flag right away, but she didn't find anything unusual. He frowned. Could it be that my performance has gained the sect master's approval, so he changed his attitude? He didn't know, so he discussed the 5-element flags with Chu Yang. Little brother, this is the 5-element flags. I've checked it, and it should be usable. When the Saint Sun handed the 5-element flags to Chu Yang didn't take it. Second brother, you should know that I thought the sect master might be a spy of the Soul Devourer clan a long time ago, Chu Yang said in a deep voice. I still have this suspicion. I'm the most handsome. Cao Ju and the Saint Sun both knew about Chu Yang's identity in the 5-element sect, but they didn't say it out loud. The Saint Sun was confused. Little brother, there's nothing wrong with the 5-element flags. You can use it without worry. Chu Yang didn't answer. His eyes were dim, and he asked, Second brother, I should be a teenager, right? Needless to say, I'm a teenager. First, I killed the Soul Devourer clan, then the 1,000 Demon sect. That should be something, right? It wasn't just something amazing. It could be called a miracle, and it was even more shocking. Second brother, what do you mean? The Saint Sun seemed to understand Chu Yang's meaning. Chu Yang smiled and said, when a young man achieves success, it's inevitable that he will become arrogant and overconfident. He pointed at the 5-element flags. For example, even if there's something wrong with the 5-element flags, so what? I, Chu Yang, am omnipotent. If there's something wrong, I'll just erase it. On the other hand, if I don't feel anything wrong with the 5-element flags, then there's definitely nothing wrong with the 5-element flags. It's just that this world is too big. There are all kinds of strange things, and talented people come out in large numbers. There are many things that I can't understand or imagine. If I think the world is in my hands and I'm omnipotent, I'll be so arrogant. Second brother, what do you think the result will be? It wasn't that the 5-element flags didn't have any peculiarities. It was just that they couldn't discover such peculiarities. They want to kill me. Chu Yang's judgment made the Zither Melody Saint's pupils shrink involuntarily. As for them, they were naturally referring to the sect leader of the 5-element sect, and the 5-elements flag was a tracking device. The Zither Melody Saint child couldn't help but shudder. If that's the case, my whereabouts will be in their grasp. It will be too easy for them to kill me. What a shocking scheme. The more the Saint child thought about it, the more he shuddered. If it were an ordinary disciple of the 5-element sect, no one would suspect their own sect leader. Just like what Chu Yang had said, when a young man achieved success, it was inevitable that he would become arrogant and self-righteous. Even though he knew that the 5-element flags might be strange, he would still disdain it. His methods were also extremely shocking. If even the Zither-tuned Saint Sun couldn't recognize it, then it definitely wasn't an ordinary technique. Such a conjecture was the most malicious conjecture, but it wasn't impossible. Saint Child Zither Melody couldn't help but sigh. Putting himself in Chu Yang's shoes, he thought, if I were Chu Yang, who is now at the peak of my power, I probably wouldn't think much of the 5-element sect leader. In that case, he was definitely fooled. Little brother is so clear-headed and has such a temperament. It's really amazing. There must be a reason why he can make such a name for himself. The Zither Melody Saint child couldn't help but admire Chu Yang. There were definitely many people who could achieve success at a young age, but there were definitely not many who could be as clear-headed as Chu Yang. Chapter 762. Chu Yang's small face curved into a smile that did not match his age. He sneered and said, "They just want to find out more about me, but I won't let them succeed." Bang! The saint's son suddenly stood up, a cold light flashing in his eyes. "Little brother, it seems that they really intend to kill you." Then, he felt lucky. Fortunately, Chu Yang had turned into a 7 or 8-year-old because of the reincarnation. He had hidden his identity and avoided all of this. Otherwise, the consequences would be unimaginable. "Little brother, you have 2 identities now. Your current identity has already become a variable in their eyes." At this moment, the saint's son's tone was incomparably firm. "Therefore, only by figuring out your identity and completely controlling you can they be 100% sure that they can kill you. Otherwise, once you get involved, they will be very worried that their plans will be disrupted by you and all their efforts will be in vain." Such a meticulous plan, taking into account all kinds of factors. Even the slightest bit of uncertainty had to be eliminated. At the same time, it could be seen how much pressure Chu Yang was exerting on them, making them have no choice but to be so cautious. Yes. Chu Yang nodded. He was surrounded by enemies now. The trip to Emperor Island was very dangerous. "Second brother," he thought for a while. "Think of a way to prevent those idiots from entering Emperor Island." "I don't feel good now." He was talking about Cao Ju and the others. The saint's son shook his head and said, "Life and death are predestined. Wealth and honor are in the hands of the heavens. They are not your children. Even if they are, you don't need to arrange everything for them and make decisions for them. Moreover, Emperor Island is not the only dangerous place in this world. There are dangers everywhere in this world. It's just that the forms of danger are different. You don't need to be responsible for their life and death, and you shouldn't interfere in their lives or be responsible for their lives. Only they can be responsible for their lives. Apart from them, no one else can. Not even the gods or the heavens." What the saint's son meant was that he was meddling too much. What he thought was a better choice for them might actually be the worst choice. "Second brother, you're right." Chu Yang suddenly laughed. "Second brother, why do I suddenly feel that you are so deep?" I was caught off guard. The zither-tuned saint's son smiled bitterly. He couldn't do anything to Chu Yang. Just as the two of them were analyzing the current situation and discussing how to deal with it, someone came knocking on their door again, looking for Chu Yang's identity as a brat. They were the Sea Demon guards of Sea Demon City. As soon as the burning heaven holy sun left, they came knocking on his door. The zither melody saint speculated with the greatest malice and couldn't help but worry. Suppose the burning sky saint didn't find out the identity of this brat Chu Yang, so the Sea Demon City took action. In other words, the mayor of the Sea Demon City also wanted to kill Chu Yang. They had joined hands. The sect master of the 5 Elements sect, the Fiend race, Hai Wuya, the 4 nations, and those who hoped to obtain the fortune on Emperor Island. Every one of them probably wanted Chu Yang dead. They all had the same goal. "Second brother, you are now a thorn in everyone's side. If you don't die, they will feel like a fishbone stuck in their throat. You'll know when you see them. I don't mind robbing the Sea Demon City, the 4 nations, and everything else." Chu Yang smiled coldly. "If they annoy me, I'll go and kill them all first." Soon, he saw the newcomers. There were 4 of them, 3 men and 1 woman. One was a black-clothed youth with a fierce aura. His eyes were like a falcon's, and his gaze was as sharp as a blade. The other was an orange-clothed man around 25 or 26 years old. He was handsome, and his skin was white and delicate. There was also a green-clothed man who had the same aura as the orange-clothed man. However, his appearance was much worse, and his slanted eyebrows were the ugliest. The last one was a woman in white. She was pretty and had an outstanding temperament. Her neck was white and long, like a swan's neck. However, she was arrogant, holding her head high like a rooster. Jin Jinghao, Liu Yishu, Xiong Fei, and Shu Linger met with Chu Yang. They reported their names, and their eyes fell on Chu Yang, sizing him up carefully. "This is the first young master's letter of challenge to you. Please accept it." Jin Jinghao directly handed over a blood-red invitation. Chapter 763. Humans, living in different regions, would have different customs and habits, different cultures, different languages, and so on. The greater the region, the greater the difference. Even the skin color would be different. All kinds of differences would lead to comparisons and feelings of superiority. There would also be racial discrimination and regional discrimination. Of course, Chu Yang didn't care about discrimination. He only noticed the differences in Jin Jinghao, Liu Yishu, Xiong Fei, and Shu Ling. Of course, their skin color was the same, and their language was the same. However, there were some differences. For example, Jin Jinghao had a very distinct smell of the sea. It could be said that he often lived by the sea, and he was a sea demon god. Liu Yishu and Shu Ling not only had the aura of being pampered, but they also had a strong secular aura. They should be the descendants of some nobles or even members of the royal family. In other words, they could be understood as people from 2 of the 4 countries. Xiong Fei's aura was that of a sect. He was either from the Longhu sect or the 7 Stars sect. These 4 people were not the only ones who came. Many people followed behind them to watch the show. It seemed that they had been informed before they came. At this moment, all eyes were on Chu Yang, but many of them were obviously not here to watch the show. Some people were also secretly observing Chu Yang. Chu Yang's divine perception was very sharp. How could this be hidden from him? Now, he could almost confirm 2 things. First, they had to join hands to get rid of anyone who had designs on the Emperor Island. This was to prevent Chu Yang from kicking all of them aside and taking all the spoils for himself. Second, with his current identity as a child, he could hold back 10,000 people. They all thought that the child had become an obstacle to killing him and had to be cleared up. As for why they had revealed such a big flaw, perhaps they really thought Chu Yang was a child, or perhaps the person in charge of this matter was stupid, or perhaps they didn't think it was a flaw at all. Who knew the reason? Chu Yang didn't care about the reason. He only cared about his mood, which was a little bad. The eldest young master asked us to deliver this letter of challenge to you. In 3 days, the eldest young master will fight you at the Boomerang Cove of the Sea Demon City. Please be prepared. Chu Yang didn't say anything, nor did he accept the challenge. Jin Jinghao couldn't help but ask again. Scram. A wicked smile suddenly appeared on Chu Yang's face as he spat out a word. Although the voice was young and tender, it was as loud as thunder and rumbled. What? Jin Jinghaofeng couldn't react in time. He didn't expect that Chu Yang would just say get lost and send him away. Jin Jinghao had thought of many possible scenarios. But, he had never thought that Chu Yang would only tell him to get lost in the end. It was as if he was driving away a fly. It was very disgusting. Jin Jinghao felt like he was driving away a fly. But, he didn't think that Chu Yang would only say get lost in the end. Liu Yishu, Xiong Fei, and Shu Ling were also very shocked. Many of the spectators were also dumbfounded. Then, they burst into an uproar. Arrogant, he was really arrogant. The level of arrogance of this little brat was so high that Hai Shenghai's arrogance was nothing. Hai Shenghai's arrogance was that if he said he wanted to fight you, then he would fight you. He would set the time and place, and you could only listen to him obediently. Hai Shenghai didn't see this little brat as an opponent, nor did he put this little brat Chu Yang in his eyes. Everyone even suspected that if this little brat didn't teach Hai Shenglong a lesson, he might not even look at this little brat. Chapter 764. However, the little brat in front of everyone was implying, Hai Shenghai, who are you? You're just a fly. If you're qualified to fight with me, why don't you take a piss and look in the mirror first? Chu Yang's little face was full of disgust, which stimulated everyone's mind even more. After saying that, he turned around and left. Stop. Jin Jinghao had the intention of dying when his master was humiliated. With a swoosh, he blocked Chu Yang's path and said coldly, What, weren't you very arrogant? Now you're scared and want to run away? It was ridiculous that an adult would say such words to a child. It was absolutely ridiculous. However, no one found it funny. Who would treat such a ferocious little brat as a child? Look at what he had done. Don't you understand my words? Is the word scram hard to understand? Chu Yang raised his eyes and glanced at Jin Jinghao. What kind of master is this? What kind of servant is this? It's terrible to be uneducated. You don't even know what scram means. I really admit defeat. Hee hee. Cao Ju, the silver wolf, and Jin Juojuo heard Chu Yang's words and couldn't help but laugh in their hearts. Wait, you'll see how ferocious our little nephew is. They were already waiting to watch a good show. Everyone present was speechless. This little brat's mouth was poisonous. Jin Jinghao was the one who was the most irritated. It was terrible to be uneducated. He inexplicably became one of them. What kind of disdain and contempt was this? If you're afraid of the eldest young master, immediately kneel down and apologize. The eldest young master is magnanimous and will forgive you for offending the second young master this time. Offended? Chu Yang glared. You dare to say that I offended him? The so-called second young master you're talking about is the idiot who I had the honor of being hit by a brick. It was the first time I learned from my idol and hit someone with a brick. He was the first. It was his honor. Go back and take a look at your master's ancestral grave. I can guarantee that it's already smoking. Jin Jinghao was so angry that his whole body trembled. No one knew if the ancestral grave of the Sea Demon City's city lord was emitting smoke, but Jin Jinghao was already fuming. What shocked everyone was that Jin Jinghao hadn't killed anyone yet. When did the ocean demon guards become so patient and polite? Your idol is Chu Yang, right? Your idol is definitely not afraid of battle. You are simply discrediting your idol. The only woman among the four, Shu Ling stood out with her head held high. Her arrogance could not be concealed in the slightest. Chu Yang chuckled in his heart. You're trying so hard to force me to make a move just so you can find out my strength and background. How could it be so easy? Naturally, he also knew what they were afraid of, his background as a brat. However, he was already so astonishing at the age of 7 or 8. If it wasn't for some great power, who could nurture such a child? Therefore, they did not dare to force him too much. In fact, in order to force him to make a move, they tried every possible way to find a reason to ensure that their actions could be justified. When the time came to investigate, they would have an excuse. Otherwise, there would be no need to go through so much trouble. A child could be killed with a knife. As for the letter of challenge, there was even less of a need for that. They could just make a move directly. There was no need for you to agree. Where did this bitch come from? A male dog is not enough. A female dog jumped out and barked in my ear. Chapter 765. Bitch. Shu Ling was so angry that her face and neck instantly turned red. She gnashed her teeth, and her gaze was like a poisonous snake that was looking for a person to devour. She couldn't wait to eat Chu Yang alive. How noble was her status? She was compared to a dog. No one dared to humiliate her like this. Anyone who dared to humiliate her was dead. Oh, by the way, I want to eat dog meat. Chu Yang stared at Shu Ling's belly. Is there a puppy in your belly? If there isn't, I'll stew it for you. How dare you? Shu Ling was furious, but Chu Yang's eyes were cold. When he glared at her, the man called Xiong Fei had already stood in front of Shu Ling. You're young and ignorant, so you're not behaving appropriately. Eldest young master only wants to restrain you a little. Xiong Fei's pupils shrank. It seems that young master is right. You do need to restrain yourself. If you think you can do whatever you want in Sea Demon City, you might as well go through young master first. That's right. Liu Yishu also spoke. If you win, young master naturally has no right to restrain you. You can do whatever you want. So polite. What are they suspecting about my identity? Restrain me. Chu Yang suddenly smiled coldly as if he had been greatly humiliated. He said coldly, "What bullshit, young master. How dare he restrain me? Who does he think he is? How dare he put on airs in front of me? He really thinks he's someone important." Everyone was shocked again. The brat in front of them was so arrogant. Young Master Hai Shanghai of Sea Demon City was just a dog fart in his eyes. Also, you 3 male dogs and this bitch, get the hell out of here. Chu Yang pointed at them. If you talk nonsense in front of me again, I'll stew you. Male dogs. Bitches. Hee hee. Cao Ju and the others were overjoyed. Sure enough, this was their ferocious nephew. His mouth was the same as his father, the great Evildor Chu. Jin Jinghao and the other three were furious. Do you think you can refuse eldest young master's request? Jin Jinghao shouted coldly. Then, with a shake of his hand, the letter of challenge in his hand instantly shot towards Chu Yang like a flying knife. Peng! Halfway through the letter of challenge, a flame suddenly appeared on it, burning it up. All of a sudden, words jumped out of the void, forming a challenge document that was fully displayed. Between the lines, there was a domineering aura that was incomparably domineering. Every word was extremely sharp and carried a great amount of pressure. The weaker ones among the crowd immediately covered their eyes and screamed as they stared at the words in the void. It was as if their eyes had been burned by the flames. At the same time, as soon as the letter of challenge was unfolded, the words in the void gathered together like tadpoles, instantly forming an incomparably dignified figure, releasing boundless majesty. This figure seemed to be an emperor. Many people present felt as if they had met an emperor for the first time and involuntarily knelt down. Rumble. Behind this figure, a vast ocean could faintly be seen. Within it, the sound of raging waves could be heard. At the point where the ocean and the sky met, there was even a sun that seemed to be rising. The rising sun from the east. What kind of existence was this? Even if it was just his shadow, there was actually a vast ocean and a vision of the rising sun behind him. Chu Yang couldn't help but squint his eyes. Such a figure was probably an almighty. Hai Shanghai must have obtained his visualization diagram. Buzz. Suddenly, the figure's body transformed into a vast ocean. It turned dark blue and then pointed at Chu Yang. Chapter 766. With just this finger, the pressure and attack contained within it could instantly crush a 9th-level ascending soul realm martial artist to death. Only a 4th or 5th level soul wheel realm martial artist could barely withstand it. This Hai Shanghai is actually so terrifying. With just a challenge letter, he could unleash such a shocking attack. Chu Yang was shocked. He naturally didn't care about such an attack, but he was shocked by such a method. It might not be Hai Shanghai's method. It should be Hai Wuya's. Hai Shanghai is only as famous as the Little Gold Rock King and the others. He definitely wouldn't have such a method. Chu Yang made a judgment in his heart. He couldn't help but sneer. Aren't you underestimating me too much? It's just a 4th or 5th level soul wheel realm martial artist's attack, and you want to make things difficult for me? After absorbing the energy from the desolate stone, his genius martial spirit and idiot martial spirit had reached the 2nd grade of the 2nd revolution. Although his physical body hadn't reached the 2nd grade of the 2nd revolution, he possessed 15 dragons of strength. 6 times the explosive power was 90 dragons of strength. Ignoring the domain, 50 dragons of strength was enough to battle a soul wheel realm martial artist. With 90 dragons of strength, Chu Yang could battle a 5th level soul wheel realm martial artist. However, he didn't have the intention to directly confront this illusory figure. This way, the people in the light and in the dark would have a chance to judge his background. It would be even worse if he accidentally used the technique that he usually used. Buzz. He directly used the yin-yang 4 symbols vase hidden in his body and broke away from the illusory figure's lock. With a swoosh, he actually escaped. A fox borrowing the tiger's might. You've revealed your true colors now. Your strength is only SOSO, and you actually dare to be so arrogant. When Jin Jinghao, Liu Yishu, and the others saw that Chu Yang actually escaped, they immediately mocked and ridiculed him. They were naturally very proud of themselves. After all, they had been sent to investigate Chu Yang's background. This meant that their strength had been recognized. Looks like this little bee, Shu Linger, changed her words halfway. This brat doesn't have any status or background. 3 male dogs and 1 female dog. What do you know? This is my idol's style. I'm learning from my idol now. You won't understand even if I tell you. Chu Yang had a look of disdain on his face, but everyone was already bursting into laughter. This little brat really knows how to act. He still has the face to say that after escaping. Isn't that so? I think this lousy kid is extraordinary, but his only SOSO. He is a little monster, yes, but compared to Siren City's eldest son, he is still too weak. Chu Yang retorted sarcastically, this young master is worried about the safety of ants like you. Otherwise, this young master would have gone berserk just now. The gods would have fled, and the world would have been destroyed. All of you would have died. He continued to criticize the crowd. You guys have no conscience. I've done so much for the country, for heaven and for earth. I'm so kind and great. It's fine if you guys don't help me, but you actually question me. I'm really hurt. Everyone's expression was very interesting. Haha. Then, everyone immediately burst into earth-shattering laughter. What a ferocious little nephew. As expected of a ferocious little nephew. He's just as shameless as that bastard Chu. No one can compare to him. Cao Ju, Jin Duo, and the others were impressed that Chu Yang had taught such a little nephew. H, you're still pretending, little brat. Let's see how long you can pretend. He's courting death. I don't think there's a need for the eldest son to do it himself. I can suppress him myself. He doesn't even dare to accept the eldest son's challenge. How capable can he be? Chapter 767. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. The four of them immediately surrounded Chu Yang. Ayo, damn it. Chu Yang stomped his feet. I have a good temper and didn't teach you guys a lesson. You guys actually dared to make a move on me. If I don't teach you guys a lesson today and leave an indelible mark in your lives, I'm not a human. Buzz. Chu Yang took out the yin-yang 4 symbols vase. Dense spirit chi shrouded the entire vase, and no one could see what it was. Once the domain formed by the yin-yang 4 symbols vase was released, it was comparable to the 9th level of the soul reincarnation realm and trapped Jin Jinghao and the other 3. Immediately, their faces turned ashen. They couldn't advance or retreat, and they were like turtles trapped in a jar. Chu Yang's face was filled with anger. Spirit chi surged in his hand and condensed into an extra-large brick. He pointed at the 4 of them. Today, I'll let you guys know what a brick feels like. Bang, 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 bang. Jin Jinghao and the other 3 were hit on the head by the brick. Their heads were swollen, but they didn't faint. I feel that my idol is too benevolent. How can he strip you guys naked after you've fainted? Strip and strip. The 4 of them were so terrified that their eyes were trembling. At this moment, in front of Chu Yang, they were like 4 little sheep facing a big hungry wolf, trembling in fear. This brat is indeed extraordinary. However, when they realized it, it was too late for regrets. Chu Yang restrained the 4 of them and hung them up. He touched his chin and mumbled, stripping and stripping is too troublesome. Isn't it better to burn them all? Burn. There was no such thing as the worst, only worse. Jin Jinghao, Liu Yishu, and the other 3 couldn't help but be shocked. Boom. The first one to suffer was Jin Jinghao. As soon as the flames reached him, all of his clothes and hair were burned away. He screamed in agony. What are you screaming for? I'll strip you naked later. Bear with it for a while. Chu Yang said with a serious face, otherwise, if I strip her naked, wouldn't I ruin my idol's reputation? It was too cruel. Thump. Thump. When everyone saw Jin Jinghao being roasted like a pig, they couldn't help but take a few steps back, putting some distance between them and Chu Yang. Am I that scary? Chu Yang asked with his eyes wide open. Everyone immediately nodded, then immediately shook their heads. Oh, I see. Chu Yang laughed. I wasn't scary. I'm still so cute. Everyone was at a loss for words. We're going to be so scared that we're going to fall ill. Bang bang. After Liu Yishu and Xiong Fei were carefully roasted, they were completely stripped naked. Only their skin was slightly dark. Chu Yang shook his head. I'm such a failure. This is too unsightly. Why don't I use my idol's method? He stared at Shu Ling-er. No, I beg you. Shu Ling-er screamed in panic. Her voice was no longer arrogant. Instead, it was pleading. She was so scared that her voice was trembling. She was a woman. If she was stripped naked in front of everyone, she wouldn't be able to live anymore. TSK. Chu Yang sneered. You're only scared now? Forget it. In order to prevent my mother from finding an excuse to beat me up, I will strip you naked. I can't do such a thing myself. Bang. He threw Shu Ling directly at Chen Aoshua's feet and ordered, that woman who pretended to be my idol's woman, go strip this woman who cried when she saw the coffin. Hang her up and dry her. Then, organize a group of women to watch. Chen Aoshua's vision went dark. This was simply an unexpected disaster. She was also secretly angry. She kicked Shu Ling hard and whispered, don't drag me down with you even if you want to die. Don't you know how cruel and immoral this little brat is? The people of the Five Elements sect, Saint Child Qinyan, Cao Ju, and the others were stunned when they heard Chen Aoshua, who was as cold as an iceberg, say such words. Chapter 768. That woman, who did you say was cruel and wicked? Chu Yang's ears were very sharp, and he glared at her. Chen Aoshua even wanted to die now. She angrily dragged Shu Ling and left. Then, the kid didn't continue to pursue the matter, which made her feel lucky. After that, she heard the voice and knew who was unlucky in her place. You guys are just here to watch the show. Just now, you doubted and questioned my martial prowess and hurt me deeply. Now, you must make up for your sins. Stay here and watch for 3 days and 3 nights. Whoever dares to leave will have the same ending as them. Chu Yang threatened everyone, but no one dared to make a sound. There's more. Chu Yang opened his mouth again and said, I'll go back to sleep later. When I wake up, I hope that bullshit eldest young master is already kneeling here, begging me to give him a brick and bestow upon him supreme glory. Bang! 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 With that, Chu Yang moved as fast as a ghost and hit the back of Jin Jinghao's and the other two's heads with a brick. Then, he disappeared directly. Everyone present saw that not only were the 3 knocked out, but their heads were also broken. The back of his skull was also smashed open, and blood splattered out. Cruel, he's too cruel. He's too cruel. That's right, I've never seen such a lawless child. The city lord of Sea Demon City may have really hit the nail on the head this time. I think this kid must have an amazing background. Nonsense, if he didn't have an amazing background, why do you think these Sea Demon guards were so polite just now? When the kid humiliated them, they would have already attacked. Unfortunately, they couldn't endure until the end. Also, this kid is also treacherous. He pretended that he couldn't even take a challenge and made them completely misjudge. Everyone was discussing spiritedly. For a moment, no one dared to leave. In the end, they began to talk about the yin-yang 4 symbols vase that Chu Yang took out and guessed what kind of treasure it was. However, their discussion was interrupted in less than an incense stick's worth of time. All of a sudden, the entire Sea Demon City shook violently. A huge sound came from the west side of the city. Looking from afar, one could clearly see a huge cloud of dust rising into the sky. Ah, Chu Yang, I'm going to kill you, I'm going to kill you. The sound of an injured wild beast immediately resounded. It was extremely clear. What the hell is going on? Everyone was stunned. At the west side of Sea Demon City, after that person had vented his anger for a while, he calmed down and the crowd immediately became noisy. Chu Yang, could it be that Brick Chu is attacking again? No, Brick Chu is attacking again. Who is the one who will suffer this time? Could it be the Demon Clan? But the Demon Clan was robbed by the Brick Chu and there were only a few left. There seems to be a young ape king. Could it be the young ape king? It shouldn't be the little ape king. That person was furious, but I didn't sense any demonic aura. Then who could it be? Who knows, but it's definitely not an ordinary person. Everyone was very curious and wanted to inquire about the news. However, when they were about to leave, they saw Jin Jinghao and the other 2 hanging in the air. They couldn't help but look at each other in dismay. In the end, no one dared to move. Chu Yang's means were too immoral. None of them dared to try. If they left at that time, who knew if Chu Yang, this little brat, would go crazy? If this little brat went crazy, it would be terrible. Chu Yang, no one knew how much time had passed, but the Sea Demon City shook again as if a giant beast was causing trouble. After that, similar situations occurred one after another. Even though the people present were very far away, they could still sense that Siren City was greatly damaged, just like before. Whoosh! Whoosh! After the sea demon city regained its silence, suddenly, a burst of air-piercing sounds came. Everyone saw a person with a big bump on his head appear in mid-air. His anger and killing intent filled the sky. The princes of the four kingdoms, Dragon Godson and Tiger Godson of the Longhu sect. When Saint Sun Zither saw them, his heart couldn't help but thump. Oh no, I don't know if little brother has returned. If he hasn't, I'm afraid he'll be exposed. Chapter 769. The Zither Melody Saint's words were definitely not baseless. Chu Yang had a notorious record. When he first came to the Five Elements sect, he had knocked out the Five Elements Divine Sun with a brick. Although no one could guarantee that it was Chu Yang, it happened in the Five Elements sect, so it was easy to associate it with Chu Yang. Secondly, Chu Yang was extremely proficient in stealing, sneaking attacks, assassinations, and so on. It could be said that if he was second in the Eastern Wilderness, no one would dare to be first. Thirdly, Hai Shanghai had just sent people to test and provoke them, but Chu Yang immediately acted violently again. This was obviously a response to Hai Shanghai and the others. In fact, the most important thing was a martial artist's intuition. Once a martial artist cultivated to a certain degree, they would be able to sense their own misfortune and fortune. They could even control their own destiny. Their perception of danger was extremely sharp. Even if they didn't know anything, they would still be able to faintly sense it. Therefore, it wasn't strange that the princes of the four countries, the Dragon Tiger sect's Dragon Godchild, Tiger Godchild, Hai Shanghai, and the others could see through it. Chu Yang, come out. The rumbling sound was like the sound of thunder, resounding through the sky. The entire Sea Demon City could hear it clearly. Suddenly, the entire Sea Demon City was alarmed. Immediately, countless figures appeared in the sky and flew over. When the people who were watching the Sea Demon guards saw this scene, they felt that following the little brat's orders was not without benefits. After all, they were the first to see the group of arrogant geniuses. These proud sons of heaven were basically all very handsome, romantic, masculine, and feminine. Their beauty was not inferior to that of women. Of course, there were also some who were slightly more ordinary. At this moment, they were standing together, but it was a bit funny. Each of them had a big bump on the back of their head, as if they were comparing whose bump was bigger and whose was smaller. The scene was a bit unimaginable, and many people forcibly held back their laughter. After all, they were either the crown prince of a country or the elites of a sect. Every one of them was extremely talented, and they were extremely famous in the Eastern Barren Territory. They were admired and revered by everyone. Who would be able to see them with a huge bump on the back of their head like a blooming flower? Ha ha. It was unknown who laughed first, but it immediately ignited the entire crowd. Then, the entire crowd burst into laughter. The crown princes of the four countries, the divine sons of the Longhu sect, and the Seven Stars sect burst into laughter when they heard this. They immediately felt an uncontrollable sense of shame. Their faces were burning, and they couldn't help but look down coldly. It was as if ice water had been poured over them, and the laughter of the audience came to an abrupt end, as if a fire had been extinguished. In mid-air, the positions of the four princes directly reflected their relationship. The crown princes of Wei, Wu, Qi, and Han were all birds of a feather. Even though there was a distance between the four of them, they were very close to each other. Long Shenzi and Hu Shenzi of the Longhu sect stood shoulder to shoulder. They were the closest to each other and had the closest relationship. The six of them were in two small groups. At this moment, they had merged into a large group. Hai Shanghai was also a member of this group. Only a white-clothed, peach-blossom-eyed young man remained. Although his appearance was not inferior to a woman's, he was currently alone in mid-air. The Seven Stars Divine Son of the Seven Stars sect. The Seven Stars sect had the Seven Stars Saint and the Seven Stars Shenzi. They were in a competitive relationship. Chapter 770. Qinyin raised her head and looked over coldly. Crown Prince of the Wu Kingdom, right? Let me give you a suggestion. You'd better be more polite when you speak. My little brother has a bad temper. Maybe in the next moment, it won't just be a bump on your head, but your entire head. Am I right? The Crown Prince of the Wu Kingdom jumped in fright as if he had been cut by a knife. His expression suddenly tightened as he immediately scanned his surroundings. Saint Sun Qinin's words were not exaggerated at all. Chu Yang could assassinate the Soul Devourer clan elder, Elder Qian Mo, and the others. Even if the Crown Prince of the Wu Kingdom was more talented, even if he was at the 9th level of the Soul Wheel realm, he was nothing. At this moment, the bump on the back of his head was the best proof. At the same time, the Crown Princes of the other 3 kingdoms, the 2 divine princes of the Longhu sect, and Hai Shenghai immediately tensed up as if they were facing a great enemy. In the dark, when the hidden people heard Saint Sun Qinin's words, their nerves couldn't help but tighten. Saint Sun Qinin, I didn't mean to kill Brother Chu. Isn't it a bit inappropriate for Brother Chu to do this to me? 7-star Divine Prince suddenly spoke, causing the faces of the 4 crown princes and the others to turn gloomy as they immediately stared coldly at him. However, 7-star Divine Prince was not afraid. He only smiled and said, although Brother Chu has helped the 7-star sect, I still need an explanation. Also, please return the 7-star sword formation and the 7-star formation to me. Saint Sun Qinyin smiled bitterly and cupped his fists at 7-star Divine Prince. He said apologetically, 7-star Divine Prince, my little brother has always been black-bellied. I'm afraid you can only accept this. However, it is still possible for my little brother to spit out the 7-star sword formation and the 7-star formation. It would be extremely difficult to make Chu Yang spit out what he had swallowed. In that case, it is very necessary for me to write a few words on the back of my head, I am innocent. 7-star Divine Prince also smiled bitterly. 7-star Divine Prince, it is indeed necessary. Saint Sun Qinyin made a rare joke. 7-star Divine Prince, you Long Shenzi of the Longhu sect suddenly stared at 7-star Shenzi menacingly. 7-star God Sun couldn't help but sneer. Does he not know if I don't say it? Where did the bump on the back of your head come from? Even bloodthirsty beasts know this saying, because he is Chu Yang. Don't tell me that you guys don't know. Because he was Chu Yang, there was nothing he couldn't do, and there was nothing he didn't know. The Zither Melody Saint had also heard such a sentence before. Now that she heard the 7-star Divine Sun say it, she couldn't help but shake her head and laugh. She was even a little absent-minded. The little brother who used to be very afraid of the burning heaven holy sun was no longer the same as before. Saint Child Zither, right? Hai Shenghai spoke. He had long hair that was the color of the deep sea. His eyes were also dark blue, deep and wide. It was as if there was an ocean in each of his eyes. When he looked at the Saint Child Zither Melody, it was as if the water of 2 oceans poured down. The Saint Child Zither Melody was fearless and met his gaze calmly. There was a buzzing sound as if something was colliding in the void. Ripples spread out chaotically and only disappeared after a while. After a round of competition, the Saint Child Zither Melody pointed at Hai Shenghai. Do you want to die? Hai Shenghai didn't hold back, and the Saint Child Zither Melody didn't hold back either. Sparks flew everywhere and it was extremely oppressive. It could be triggered at any time. The whole place was dead silent, especially the onlookers. They couldn't even breathe. Hai Shenghai's pupils constricted, and he looked very cold. Don't misunderstand. The Saint Child Zither Melody sneered. It's not me who wants to kill you, it's my little brother who wants to kill you. I ask you to cherish your time now, or you might not have another chance next time. Chapter 771. Seeing this scene, Cao Ju, the Silver Wolf, and Jin Juojuo couldn't help but be speechless. How can I be so domineering and threaten you directly? Do you want to die? Saint Sun Qinyin, huh? Such a contemptuous tone. But do you want to die? This is boundless tyranny. That bastard King Chu had actually reached such a level. The eyes of the 3 immediately lit up. Chu Yang was the Saint Sun Qinin's little brother, but they were also the Saint Sun Qinin's bastard. They could use the Saint Sun Chinin's tiger skin to show off everywhere. We want to invite Chu Yang to come out and meet us. Hiss. The people of Sea Demon City couldn't help but gasp. They were shocked to find that the princes of the 4 countries had spoken in unison. It seemed that none of them had enough weight. And this Chu Yang, who they had never met, had already reached such a level, giving Hai Shanghai and the others so much pressure. You want to meet him? The Saint Sun Chinyin smiled. That depends on whether my little brother is happy or not. To be honest, you don't have the qualifications to meet him. After all, you are not in the same level. Your fathers are. The Saint Sun Chinyin was full of confidence. He didn't fear the oppressive gazes of the princes of the 4 countries because this was the truth. Whether it was the Soul Devourer clan or the Thousand Demon sect, no matter how Chu Yang did it, the undeniable fact was that Chu Yang had done it. Such a thing was definitely not something that the princes of the 4 countries could do. At least their fathers were needed. Therefore, Chu Yang was qualified to be on par with their fathers. Cao Ju, the Silver Wolf, and the other 3 smacked their lips. They felt that the Saint Sun Chinyin was too awesome. The 3 of them could have done this, especially Cao Ju. After hearing the Saint Sun Chinin's words, Chen Aoshue's mind churned. It was as if she had bumped into a blind spot. She suddenly realized that Chu Yang was already so amazing. Do you mean to say that Chu Yang is unwilling to come out and meet me? Don't you understand what I said? It's not that he doesn't want to come out. I'm afraid that Chu Yang isn't even here. It wasn't there in the first place. It was never there. Where did it come from? The exchange of words between the Saint Child and the princes of the 4 kingdoms was extremely sharp. The princes of the 4 kingdoms couldn't gain the slightest advantage and were even ridiculed by the Saint Child. Their faces were even darker, as if they could fly into a rage at any moment. This caused the onlookers to be extremely shocked. They felt that a huge storm was about to erupt. However, when they looked at Saint Zither, he was extremely calm. That calmness made them wonder if the crown princes of the 4 countries were not covered in dark clouds at all. Instead, they were smiling like flowers. Chu Yang isn't here, but that little brat should be. Hai Shanghai's change in method made Saint Sun Zither's heart skip a beat. He really didn't know whether Chu Yang had rushed back or not. If Chu Yang was somewhere and counting the spoils of war, then he would be completely exposed. If you want to see the little young master, I'm afraid you are even less qualified. Saint Sun Zither was still calm. His tone was even more overbearing and arrogant. Also, I'll give you another suggestion. When it comes to the little young master, you better keep your mouths shut. Don't say that I didn't warn you. Humph. That little brat isn't even here, right? Get him to come out and see me immediately. Otherwise, you'll have to bear the consequences. Facing their faint threats, Saint Sun Zither laughed. Do you think I can order the little young master around? If you want to see him, you can go in yourself. Also, Saint Sun Zither laughed again. Remember, don't say that I'm tricking you. If your parents look into it, I hope that you can explain it clearly. I've already done my duty to warn you. Humph. You don't have to worry. Swish. Swish. Chapter 772. Saint Child Chinyin and that bastard Chu, what are they trying to do? Don't make a mistake. Cao Ju and the other 2 couldn't help but worry. Whoosh. However, just as the 4 princes and Hai Shanghai entered, a small figure shot out and appeared beside the Saint Child Chinyin. She covered her mouth with her fair hands and yawned. Then, she stretched and said in dissatisfaction, "Why is it so noisy outside? Can't you let me sleep?" The onlookers were immediately dumbfounded. Who else could this small figure be if it wasn't that rotten brat? Whoosh. Whoosh. The princes of the 4 countries brushed past Chu Yang halfway. They immediately returned, and stood proudly in the air. Their gazes were as sharp as swords as they looked at Chu Yang. It seemed as if they wanted to see through Chu Yang from the inside out. Buzz. Hai Shanghai suddenly took out a mirror. The mirror trembled and a beam of light shone on Chu Yang's body. You think I'm a monster? That demon-revealing mirror is shining on me. Chu Yang was furious. He jumped up 3 feet high and said angrily, "Bastard, you're the monsters. Your whole family is monsters." Everyone's expression became strange. He was indeed a child. Was there a need to react so violently after being shone on by the mirror? Hai Shanghai frowned. He was surprised by the result of the mirror. The brat in front of him was really only 7 or 8 years old. The 4 princes, Dragon God's son and Tiger God's son of the Longhu sect, were also shocked. "You bastard, I'm scolding you. Why are you acting so profound? Can't you give me a reaction? Otherwise, it would seem that I'm not good at scolding people." Chu Yang stomped his feet and scolded again. "Cruel little nephew, they want to see if you're the bastard Chu." Bang! Just as Jin Duo opened his mouth, a brick hit the back of his head. TSK. Chu Yang glared at Jin Duo with his beautiful big eyes and angrily rebuked, "You little thing, who is your little nephew?" It was a slip of the tongue. Jin Duo held his head and immediately declared, "That's more like it." Chu Yang was satisfied. Then, he rubbed his chin with his small hand. "You think that I'm my idol? This should be a merit and not a fault. Right." He beamed with joy and looked at Hai Shanghai and the others. "You guys really have good taste, especially that thing with the mirror. I give you a thumbs up." Chu Yang gave Hai Shanghai a thumbs up, his little face smiling like a flower. "You're the brat who humiliated my little brother." Hai Shanghai's dark blue eyes looked down from the sky, shooting out 2 dark blue rays of light. "Oh my, your eyes can even shine." Chu Yang used the yin-yang 4 symbols vase to get rid of it. He screamed and dodged. Then, he remembered something and suddenly became angry. "That's not right. Why should I dodge? Wouldn't this affect my righteous image?" His little finger immediately poked at Hai Shanghai and scolded, "Also, I $. That thing, who did you call a brat just now? You better explain clearly, or else I'll beat all your teeth out." He didn't stop. "Also, don't think that you can be arrogant just because I praised you just now. Let's not talk about other things, only I can be arrogant here. You better immediately correct yourself, or else I'll make you regret it." Rumble. Hai Shanghai didn't answer. Instead, he directly punched down towards Chu Yang from mid-air. Instantly, the spirit chi surged and in an instant, the ocean wave surged. The scene of a huge wave that reached the sky appeared and turned into a huge white shark. It formed a group of white sharks and pounced down. Chapter 773. The white sharks were like an army of millions charging forward, while the sea snakes were like assassins trying to take the head of the enemy's general. One righteous and one strange, one yin and one yang. The moment Hai Shanghai attacked, it contained the righteous and strange yin and yang. It was extremely shocking. The vigorous attack covered an extremely wide area and sealed off all of Chu Yang's escape routes. There was no way to dodge and there was no way to dodge. The strength of a 9th-level soul reincarnation realm expert was completely displayed. "That's what I'm thinking." Chu Yang's eyes gleamed. Everyone's battle style would more or less have their own unique characteristics. Naturally, he had his own. If he was in a battle with Hai Shanghai, he would definitely use his most powerful moves. At that time, his identity would be completely exposed. I can't use the 3rd revolution of the Chi Soul. I can't use the 3rd revolution of the Origin Martial. Body cultivation was one of Chu Yang's most obvious characteristics. I can't use the 7 Annihilation Sword. I can't use the 9 Dragons Bell. I can't use the Heavenly Rock Feather either. Chu Yang realized that he had no way of blocking such an attack. However, he didn't have time to think too much. Roar. Chu Yang opened his mouth and roared. Lion's roar. All of a sudden, he seemed to have transformed into a majestic lion. His roar shook the sky, covering the sound of the raging waves. A huge sound wave rushed out, forming visible shockwaves in the air, rushing towards the group of white sharks and sea snakes. Bang, bang, bang. Many white sharks and sea snakes exploded, but there were still many huge white sharks and swimming sea snakes behind them. They covered the sky and the sun as they rushed over. The lion's roar contains the intent of intimidation. It can disperse the will of Hai Shanghai among the white sharks and sea snakes. However, On top of that, there's still a limit to its power. The attack of a 9th-level soul circulation realm expert is indeed terrifying, Chu Yang thought in his heart, but he cursed out loud, "You bastard. You think you can scare me with your cultivation? I'll use my treasure to bully you." He immediately took out the yin-yang 4 symbols bottle. As the yin-yang 4 symbols bottle buzzed, it instantly released its domain. Like a bottomless abyss, it swallowed all the white sharks, sea snakes, and seawater. Hai Shanghai's attack was instantly nullified. The void immediately calmed down. What kind of treasure is that? Whoosh, whoosh. It was not only Hai Shanghai. The 4 princes and the others all looked at the yin-yang 4 symbols vase, but they could not see it clearly. Buzz. Hai Shanghai also released his own domain. When the 2 domains collided, it was as if 2 huge millstones were grinding against each other. It was as if 2 giants were wrestling. Their domains were equally matched. What? Hai Shanghai's eyes widened in shock. Hai Shanghai's domain was also a 9-fold domain. However, Hai Shanghai was not an artifact. Yet, his domain was blocked. Buzz, buzz, buzz. Without any warning, the 4 princes and Dragon Shenzi and Tiger Shenzi of the Longhu sect also released their own domains. It was as if 6 giants had jumped out from the void and smashed towards Chu Yang's domain. Preemptive strike. They want to kill me. Chu Yang could clearly feel their killing intent. It did not matter if he was Chu Yang or not. If it was Chu Yang, it would be even more so. Otherwise, if Chu Yang were to explode, Hai Shanghai and the others would probably be killed by Chu Yang. They attacked first and trapped Chu Yang. Chu Yang would not have a chance. This is bad. The Saint Child's eyelids twitched, but he did not attack. If he attacked, he and Chu Yang were only 2 people. They would definitely not be a match for him. Chapter 774. Rumble. Everything there soon collapsed and was completely razed to the ground. Huge ripples spread out in the void and strong winds blew. Damn it, these 7 things are all trash. They can't even see through the concealment of spirit chi. Can't they see that this is the yin-yang 4 symbols vase? These 7 trash can't see through it, but can't those old monsters hiding in the dark recognize it? Hai Shanghai and the others alone couldn't kill Chu Yang. Chu Yang could use the Origin Martial 3rd Transformation, Chi Soul 3rd Transformation, Golden Origin, Heavenly Rock Wings, 7 Kill Sword, 9 Dragon Bell, and so on to tear open a hole and escape. The other party naturally thought of this and hid a few old monsters in the dark. They were waiting to confirm Chu Yang's identity and kill him in one blow. Chu Yang understood all of this. He originally thought that the other party would recognize the yin-yang 4 symbols vase. Then, he could use the Gongsun clan to do whatever he wanted. But, who would have thought that it would turn out like this? Indeed, one careless move and the whole game would be lost. Chu Yang, you will definitely die this time. No one can save you. Hai Shanghai sneered. You think your disguise is very clever. What a joke. The Crown Prince of Wei Kingdom also said coldly, so what if you are not Chu Yang? You will still die. I don't care who you are. In this eastern wilderness, you are nothing. We are the masters of this place. Chu Yang, I will return the humiliation that you have given us in full. I will make you beg for death. The 7 people were full of killing intent and mocking. At the same time, they were also secretly observing Saint Child Zither Melody's reaction. Seeing that Saint Child Zither Melody was not anxious at all and had no intention of attacking, they couldn't help but be suspicious. Do you think I am a vegetarian? The domain formed by the yin-yang 4 symbols vase had long been distorted and the vase was even about to crack. The pressure was finally transmitted to Chu Yang's body. His entire body was being squeezed, and his delicate little face was already deformed. He felt as if he was in the deep sea, being squeezed by endless pressure from all directions. His internal organs were in intense pain, as if they were about to explode. In the face of danger, Chu Yang did not panic. He even missed the feeling of being oppressed like this and being on the verge of death. He had not felt this kind of pressure for a long time. Recently, he had been talking nonsense and his cultivation had stagnated. At this moment, this kind of pressure reappeared, and everything was finally starting again. The genius martial spirit, the universal manifestation apparatus, and himself. All kinds of thoughts flashed in his mind. However, before he was satisfied, he found a way to deal with it. A bunch of trash. He was dissatisfied and disdainful. Under the cover of the dense spiritual energy, he put the reincarnation gourd into the yin-yang 4 symbols vase. The 4 symbols vase of yin and yang absorbed the body, and the reincarnation gourd absorbed the soul. One was like a human's body, and the other was like a human's soul. When the two merged, it would be like the fusion of the soul and flesh. It would definitely produce a great change. Rumble. Sure enough, the moment the reincarnation gourd entered the 4 symbols vase of yin and yang, the two merged into one and burst out with a great power. Then, a change occurred. Wang. The space around the 4 symbols vase of yin and yang seemed to have collapsed. The worldly essence qi in all directions was swallowed, and it suddenly expanded to the size of a small mountain. The mouth of the vase was dark, and a huge whirlpool appeared, swallowing all the light. On the body of the vase, the dragon-shaped curve that divided the black and white qi on all sides transformed into a 100-feet-long dragon and coiled around it. The black and white qi continued to surge out from it. With the 4 symbols vase as the center, it formed a huge yin-yang diagram and set up a huge array. After that, yin and yang gave birth to the 4 symbols. The yin-yang diagram changed again, forming the 4 symbols great array. Immediately, the phantoms of the azure dragon, black tortoise, white tiger, and vermilion bird appeared. They guarded the 4 directions and resisted the pressure of the 7 domains. At this moment, the 4 symbols vase of yin and yang emitted an aura that was completely different from before. It was as if the entire world was its domain for the 4 symbols vase of yin and yang. A spirit realm artifact. A spirit realm artifact suddenly increased to a spirit realm artifact. How is this possible? This Hai Shanghai and the other 6 couldn't help but widen their eyes in shock. Chapter 775. The Yin-Yang 4 Symbols Vase. The Yin-Yang 4 Symbols Vase of the Gongsun family in the East Continent. It was as if someone had discovered a great terror. A terrifying and old voice suddenly sounded. Then, a bald old man who had been hiding in the void appeared. His eyes were like those of a dead man. He looked at the Yin-Yang 4 Symbols Vase and his eyes had turned white. In addition to the bald old man, there were 7 or 8 other old men in the void. All of them had a horrified expression on their faces. It was as if they suddenly realized that they were standing in front of a ferocious tiger's mouth. Yin and Yang, 4 symbols. This should be the Yin-Yang 4 Symbols Vase of the Gongsun family in the East Continent. This is a replica of the Yin-Yang 4 Symbols Vase. I heard that the Gongsun family owns replicas of the Yin-Yang 4 Symbols Vase, and all of them are direct descendants of the Gongsun family. At this moment, the Yin-Yang 4 Symbols Vase revealed its true appearance. Many people in the Sea Demon City were shocked. The Eastern Wilderness was not isolated from the East Continent. Chu Yang's elder brother, Chu Fei, had been to the East Continent. Of course, Chu Fei was not the only one who had been to the East Continent. This was one of the reasons why Chu Yang had carried out his plan. The Gongsun family of the East Continent was a direct descendant. When Hai Shanghai, the princes of the 4 countries, and the 2 divine princes of the Longhu sect heard this, they felt as if they had been struck by lightning. Their skin and flesh were split open, their bones were broken, and their tendons were broken. They were as black as charcoal, and their divine souls were completely destroyed by the lightning. At this moment, the 7 of them were all trembling. Even the domains they released were trembling. What did they do just now? No matter whether the kid in front of them was Chu Yang or not, or what his identity was, he would definitely die because they were the masters of the Eastern Wilderness. Recalling their previous clamor, killing intent, and sarcasm, the 7 of them trembled even more violently. They actually wanted to kill a direct descendant of the Gongsun family. They even sneered and were high and mighty, and they even announced to the direct descendant of the Gongsun family that they were the masters. The 7 of them really wished they could take back all the urine they had spilled and eat all the feces they had pooped. However, even if they were willing, they wouldn't have the chance to do so. Humph. Do you think that you are some kind of formidable foe? Before the Gongsun clan, all of you are nothing but spineless cowards. Chu Yang despised the Gongsun family in his heart. But from the reactions of the 7 people, he also deeply felt the power of the Gongsun family. It was absolutely famous in the East Continent. He couldn't help but feel a huge pressure in his heart. At this moment, he finally understood why the Zither Tune Saint Child was always so worried. Young Master Gongsun, we were blind. Please forgive us. The bald old man had already knelt down in front of Chu Yang in the void. Young Master Gongsun? Chu Yang's delicate face tightened for the first time. The pupils in his big, pure eyes seemed to be vertical. Gongsun Long is just a dog in front of me. I asked him to meow like a cat, but he didn't dare to meow like a dog. The Gongsun family is just a piece of shit. The compound surname Gongsun is just a lowly surname. He stared at the bald old man coldly. How dare you put the lowly surname Gongsun on my head? I will kill your entire family, Gongsun Long. The Gongsun family is just a piece of shit. Gongsun is just a lowly surname. As Chu Yang dragged out his voice, the bald old man, all the other old men, as well as Hai Shanghai and the others, suddenly trembled violently. Chapter 776. This series of situations was just like Hai Shanghai and the others. They had just confirmed that Chu Yang was an evil ghost and they were scared half to death. However, they were shocked to find that Chu Yang was actually an even more terrifying demon than an evil ghost. He was even an ultimate evil existence. The panic and fear in their hearts were indescribable. They were so scared that they almost fainted. Hearing Chu Yang's childish voice, the saint child's eyelids twitched. What a boastful boast. The sky is about to be broken, not to mention Hai Shanghai and the others, even he was scared half to death by Chu Yang. He felt that if Chu Yang was given a cat's fur, he could pretend to be a tiger. If he was given a bug, he could pretend to be a dragon. If he was given a bit of sunlight, he could even make a sun. If he was given a bamboo stick, he could even stab the heavens down. The saint child was scared out of his wits. Hai Shanghai and the others were not scared out of their wits, but he was. Then, he laughed bitterly in his heart. Gongsun is a lowly surname. Even my little brother is scolding me as well. Since it was a lowly surname, he naturally had to change it. The saint child decided to change his surname. From now on, he would follow his mother's surname. As for Cao Ju, Jin Duo, and the Silver Wolf, they felt that he was very powerful. For the first time, they were sure that this brat was not Chu Yang's son, not their cruel little nephew. Little young master, the ignorant are innocent. The bald old man opened his mouth. But, he hadn't finished speaking when he was interrupted by Chu Yang's furious voice. The ignorant are not guilty. Fine, I admit it. However, he turned around and said coldly, I'm innocent too. If I kill you like chickens, ducks, pigs, sheep, and dogs, I won't be guilty. After all, I didn't know you were human. Don't you think so? Little young master, we'll apologize to you. We'll apologize to you. All the old men knelt down. If apologies are useful, then what's the use of fists? Chu Yang clenched his small fists so tightly that cracking sounds could be heard. Little young master, please spare us. If begging is useful, why do we need knives? Young master my ass. Chu Yang poked Hai Shanghai and the others with his little finger. Look, is this how you apologize to me and beg for mercy? It's just 7 or 8 chickens, ducks, pigs, and dogs. How dare they stand there and watch the show? It doesn't seem to have anything to do with them. Am I right? When the few elders heard this, they raised their eyes and saw Hai Shanghai's group of 7 standing there like wooden poles. Their eyes couldn't help but darken and they almost fainted. Now, is it the time for you to be noble and put on airs? All of you are nothing in front of this young master. The few old men felt that they had truly angered Chu Yang. If they were in Chu Yang's shoes, they probably wouldn't have let them off either. With a plop, Hai Shanghai and the others, because of their pride, even though they saw the bald old man and the others kneel down, they still did not kneel down. However, at this moment, They could not hold on any longer and all knelt down. "Little young master, please spare our lives. We were blind and offended, little young master. We deserve to die." "Deserve to die? Do you really think so?" Chu Yang suddenly said darkly. "Do you really think I'm stupid? Let me tell you today, all of you will die. Whatever country or sect you are from, they will all be razed to the ground." Among Hai Shanghai and the others, because of the humiliation, there were people who immediately showed a fierce expression. It was as if they were about to lose their guts. Yes, this is the reaction I wanted. Chapter 777. "Young master, we don't have that intention." The bald old man quickly extinguished the fire. "Young master, punish them as you wish. If they don't agree, I will kill them for young master. I won't let young master dirty his hands." This bald old man really wanted to kill now. "You guys still want to have dirty thoughts? So what if you kill the young master in front of you? You will only die more miserably and the consequences will be more serious." Not only this old man, the other old men were also very angry. Hai Shanghai and the other 6 were used to being noble in the eastern wilderness. They could understand that they couldn't lower their voices. But what they couldn't understand was, are these 7 really stupid? Don't they know that this young master in front of them has nothing to fear? They immediately followed behind the bald old man and joined together, fearing that they would fall behind by even half a step. "Young master, spare us. We don't have any intention of being disrespectful, and we don't dare to harm you." Hai Shanghai and the other 6 kowtowed again and again, begging for mercy. "Hee hee." Chu Yang let out a strange chuckle. "Very interesting. But I must force you guys into a corner today, like a cornered dog jumping over a wall and a rabbit biting a person. I will force you to kill me. What do you think? This idea is not bad, right? Young master, please forgive us. Young master, spare us." Begging for mercy was everywhere. Chu Yang's smiling face suddenly changed. Suddenly, he roared, "Why don't you jump? Why don't you come and kill me? Come, I want to see who will be the coward today, and who will die here. We offended young master, we deserve to die." The bald old man and the others let out a long sigh of relief. Chu Yang's anger was much cuter than his strange laughter. They also felt that there was still a chance to redeem themselves. They begged for mercy and lowered their attitude to the lowest. "All of you are a bunch of cowards, a bunch of spineless things, especially you guys." Chu Yang continued his performance. He pointed his little finger at Hai Shanghai and the other 6 again and continued to humiliate them. "You have the nerve to say that? What kind of geniuses are you? I think you are all just bullshit. You don't even care about your dignity. You are all lowly. I look down on you guys even more now. Who do you think you are?" However, no matter how he humiliated them, Hai Shanghai and the others kept on begging for mercy. Everyone who saw this was in an uproar, and they were extremely shocked. As for the 3 sea demon guards who were originally hung up, it seemed that just knocking them unconscious, stripping them naked, and hanging them up to dry was already a light punishment. Now, their masters had no choice but to kneel and beg for mercy. Chu Yang scolded them for a while. His mouth was dry, and he finally made a judgment. "I can tell you that you will die without a doubt. The crime of killing me is a small one, but the 2 crimes are more serious. I will not spare you. Firstly, I've always been the one to gang up on others. This is the first time since I was born that I've been beaten up by a group of people. It's a great humiliation that I'll never be able to wash away. Secondly, this young master finally found a place to play and ran over to this corner. Just when I was having fun, you actually forced this young master to reveal his identity." As he spoke, he seemed to be enraged. Then, he flew into a rage again. "Now, tell me, where do you want me to play? Where do you want me to play?" Bang! 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 Chu Yang vented his anger. He punched and kicked these old men, as well as Hai Shanghai and the others, and they were all sent flying. However, they did not dare to complain. After they were sent flying, they immediately came back and knelt on the ground, allowing Chu Yang to punch and kick them again. As for their feelings, there was no way to know. After a few times, Chu Yang seemed to have vented his anger. He made a final judgment. Old things, you've repented well. You can escape a little. Although you've repented well, your sins are unforgivable. I'll give you a chance to commit suicide. Now, I'll ask you to commit suicide. How could he let Hai Shanghai and the others commit suicide? If he forced them into a corner, they would really be driven to desperation. Saint Child Zither's heart skipped a beat. Little brother, this is too risky. However, there was no other way. Chu Yang's acting was too big. It was a bit difficult to get off the tiger. If he did not do this, Hai Shanghai and the others would be suspicious. However, if he did this, it would be too risky. It would be easy to collapse. Now, the key is how Hai Shanghai and the others will deal with it. Chapter 778. When Chu Yang ordered Hai Shanghai and the others to commit suicide, the zither melody Saint Child's heartstrings were completely taut. However, the situation was not as bad as he had imagined. Hai Shanghai and the others were not good enough, but the elders were good enough to deal with a playboy like Chu Yang, a devil incarnate. Chu Yang was such a scoundrel and a bastard. He could only appease him. Little young master, they are indeed the evilest. However, letting them commit suicide is letting them off too easily. Why don't we let the 7 of them work hard and find a place for little young master to play? The bald elder was a perfect combination of a dog-headed strategist and a lackey. He flattered and invisibly flattered Chu Yang, flattering Chu Yang. A place to play? Where else can I play? Chu Yang went with the flow. His pure eyes shone with joy. I can still find other places to play. I am not well educated. You better not lie to me. How would this servant dare? The bald elder laughed. Little young master, do you know Emperor Island? Emperor Island. Chu Yang glared at him and said, You old thing, are you looking down on me? How can I not know where my idol is going? This servant has sinned. The bald elder knelt down and apologized skillfully. Then, he said, Emperor Island can be considered a place to play. The monsters trapped there definitely don't know little young master's identity. Little young master should be able to play for a while. At that time, when little young master comes out of Emperor Island, they will definitely give little young master a satisfactory answer. The delaying tactic was to get through this first. After a while, Chu Yang's anger would subside, and it would be easier to deal with them. Ha, as expected of an old thing. You are so thoughtful. Chu Yang patted the bald elder's head and laughed. Out of the 2 sins, only one is gone. They still have to die for the other. It has always been me ganging up on others. I have never been ganged up on by others before. Hai Shanghai and the others were criminals. This made the bald old man's mouth twitch. Only a little demon king like Chu Yang would say that this was a crime, and a serious one at that. Young master, this is an extremely heinous crime. At the very least, they should be torn apart and hacked into pieces. Allowing them to commit suicide is simply letting them off too lightly. When Chu Yang heard this, he thought to himself, You old thing, you really are an expert in dealing with the little demon king. That's right. This is indeed my kindness to them. Otherwise, why would I let them off so easily? The bald old man followed up and said, Young master is right. Killing them 1,000 or 10,000 times is not enough to vent our hatred. That's why this servant thinks that we must make them beg for death. Old thing, do you have any good suggestions? Young master, what do you think about finding a group of people every day, like Oyu-kun and the others? Ha. Chu Yang clapped his hands and laughed. Not bad, not bad. This is indeed a good idea. Then, he looked at Hai Shanghai and the others. Little things, you ganged up on me once, so I will gang up on you 10,000 times. To Hai Shanghai and the others, this was a great humiliation. However, they could only shout in unison, Thank you, young master, for your mercy. Ha. Chu Yang laughed heartily as he walked over. He gave each of them a slap with his small hand and lectured them, You playthings, I'll spare your lowly lives. But you better remember, you better find a place where I can play, otherwise rumble. While Chu Yang was lecturing Hai Shanghai and the others, a loud noise suddenly came from the direction of the demon territory. The sky and the earth were turned upside down. Even in the sea demon city, One could clearly see smoke and dust rising to the sky. Light flashed, and even the entire sea demon city shook slightly. Chapter 779. Chu Yang stomped his feet and cursed loudly, but the loud noise was even more intense. Screech! In the direction of the monster territory, a loud rock cry suddenly rang out, resounding through the heavens and earth. When the sound came from afar, everyone could clearly hear it. When everyone looked up, they saw a great winged golden rock that was almost a few hundred feet in size soaring into the sky. It spread its wings and soared into the sky like a rising golden sun. Then, this huge big-winged gold rock bird swooped down. Immediately, a loud rumble shook the heavens again, and the sea demon city trembled even more intensely. Roar! A huge 9-headed lion that was like a mountain suddenly appeared behind the big-winged gold rock bird. The 9 lion heads roared in unison, and the roar shook the 9 heavens. Whoosh whoosh! Even though they were far away and couldn't see the sound waves from the 9-headed lion's roar, from the direction of the monster territory, a hurricane swept over. When it reached the sea demon city, the wind was still strong, and the sound waves were loud. Then, another white tiger the size of a mountain appeared. From it, a stream of blood rushed into the 9 heavens. There was a blood river that coiled around its body like a huge dragon. Its murderous aura soared into the sky and filled the surroundings. In addition, a giant ape appeared in a frenzy. A giant also appeared. A 9-tailed fox with several tails swept across like a big broom, flattening the mountains. The Rock King, the Lion King, the Tiger King, the Ape King, the Three-Eyed King, the Fox King, and the other kings of the monster territory all appeared. The sea demon city was shaken, and it was noisy. At Chu Yang's side, whether it was the bald old man, Hai Shanghai, the princes of the 4 kingdoms, the 2 divine sons of the Longhu sect, the 7-star divine son, the saint child of Guqin Sound, and so on, everyone looked over and paid attention to the situation there. At the same time, it was also noisy. What happened in the monster territory? How did it trigger such an earth-shattering battle? Almost all the kings of the demon region have appeared one by one. Who has the strength to anger them? Could it be that the 4 kingdoms and 4 sects, no, the 4 kingdoms and 3 sects, after destroying the Soul Devourer clan, intend to destroy the monster clan before the Emperor Island opens? That's possible. The 4 kingdoms and 3 sects don't want the monster territory on Emperor Island. Chu Yang naturally wanted to know the situation there as well. In addition, he already had a guess in his heart. Perhaps the news he sent out had been verified. The 4 countries and 3 sects could no longer hold back and attacked the demon clan. Hai Wuya, you have half the blood of the beast race in you. Do you want to go against me as well? An angry voice suddenly came from the direction of the demon realm. Gold Rock King, it's not that I want to go against you, but what you've done is intolerable. Stealing the Eastern Wilderness's origin is something I, Hai Wuya, be it human or beast, will never allow you to do. The 4 nations and 3 sects have destroyed the demon region. Hai Wuya, the next one will be your sea demon city. Humph. This was Hai Wuya's voice. Gold Rock King, do you think I'm a 3-year-old child? You stole the Eastern Wilderness's source, and if the Eastern Wilderness's source is exhausted, this land will sink. What about my sea demon city? That's right. Another voice rumbled. Stealing the Eastern Wilderness's source is insane. No one in the Eastern Wilderness will tolerate you. Back then, the great emperor of the Eastern Wilderness was merciful and didn't exterminate the monster clan, sparing some of you. If the great emperor of the Eastern Wilderness knew that you would be so insane in the future, the monster clan would have been exterminated long ago. Gold Rock King, Lion Demon King, White Tiger King, you'd better hand over the Desolate Egg and Desolate Demon Prince. Otherwise, today is just the beginning. The entire Eastern Wilderness will come to suppress you. Don't even think about it, Emperor Wei. Rumble. Chapter 780. The demon race was actually stealing the source of the Eastern Wilderness. Everyone's discussion became even more intense. Soon, they were filled with righteous indignation. Everyone wanted to kill, everyone wanted to beat. After all, The Eastern Wilderness was the foundation of everyone's survival. How could they allow the demon race to destroy it? The fierce battle and shocking scene only lasted for a short period of time. Then, it strangely calmed down. Many people were surprised. Such a battle couldn't have ended so quickly. Chu Yang didn't know what was going on in the demon realm. However, he was enraged again. Bastards. Just now, those kings interrupted me when I was lecturing. My young heart was hurt. The moment Chu Yang opened his mouth, it was very dazzling, and pulled everyone's attention back to him. Then, they were left speechless. Where did you get this young heart from? You're just a little devil's heart. This old thing. Chu Yang ordered the bald old man. Pass my words to those kings. Tell them to apologize to me immediately and comfort my injured young heart. Otherwise, I'll slaughter them all. With these words, Hai Shanghai, the four princes, and the others no longer doubted Chu Yang's identity. If they didn't have the slightest bit of confidence, how could they dare to be so arrogant in front of the monster kings and their fathers? The bald old man hesitated. He felt that if he went, he would be slapped to death. Why aren't you going? Chu Yang glared at him. Why don't I wring your dog head off first and then send someone else? Yes. Little lord, I'll go immediately. The bald old man didn't dare to resist anymore. He made up his mind. After clearly stating Chu Yang's identity, he would pass on Chu Yang's order. Whoosh! He broke through the air and disappeared in an instant. Then, everyone realized that this wasn't the end. It was just the beginning. The little lord, who was angry at the heavens and earth, was angry at them. Are you all blind? Are you all deaf? Are you guys stupid? Chu Yang roared repeatedly before finally revealing the reason for his anger. Why isn't anyone clapping? Could it be that this young master's appearance just now wasn't awe-inspiring, wasn't handsome, and couldn't compare to my idol? Clap my ass. You almost scared me to death. Also, where are your exclamations, your shock, and your discussions? This brat is going crazy again. Everyone was at a loss for words. They had been insulted to the point where they didn't have the slightest temper. The more Chu Yang spoke, the more dissatisfied he became. He further criticized the crowd. When my idol did something, you were all shocked for a long time. You were all talking about it non-stop. Why didn't I receive the same treatment? You little bastard, is this really the reason for your sudden outburst? Everyone began to feel uneasy. Now, I seriously suspect that you guys are discriminating against me just because my idol is from the Eastern Wilderness and I'm not from the Eastern Wilderness. Chu Yang rolled up his sleeves. This young master is angry. This young master is going to go crazy. I'm going to strip all of you naked and hang you up to dry. Hearing this, the burning heaven-holy sun began to sweat. Chu Yang really knew how to cause trouble. He made things big again and again. Not to mention the 4 countries, 3 sects, and the kings of the demon region, Chu Yang didn't even let go of those who were watching the show. Bang! Chu Yang sent Hai Shanghai flying with a kick. Then, he angrily scolded, "Are you all blocks of wood? Why are you still standing there? There are so many chickens and ducks. Hurry up and hit them with a brick. Then, strip them all naked and hang them up to dry. Can't you see? So this is what you want us to do." The princes of the 4 countries were in a mess. There were so many people below. How long would it take to strip them all naked? However, how could they not listen to the orders of this devil incarnate? If they didn't listen, they would probably be the first to be knocked unconscious, stripped naked, and hung up to dry. Damned Chu Yang, I will definitely tear you to pieces. They blamed all of their humiliation, hatred, anger, and guilt on Chu Yang. If it wasn't for Chu Yang, how could they have met this devil incarnate and fallen into this pit? When they saw the vast crowd, their vision couldn't help but turn black. Chapter 781. It was a crime to watch the show. When the people of Sea Demon City heard that they were going to be stripped naked, they really panicked this time. They let out all kinds of terrified cries and discussions as if their eyebrows were on fire. Oh my God, what did I just see? Our Sea Demon City's peerless genius, Hai Shanghai, actually knelt down. This is unbelievable. This is unbelievable. The princes of the 4 countries and the divine son of the Longhu sect all knelt down. This young master is really amazing. He's more than amazing. You've seen a group of geniuses kneel down at the same time, but I've never seen it before. Not only that, the princes of the 4 countries, the Longhu sect, and the Sea Demon City all let him beat them up and they didn't even dare to fart. If it was before, I wouldn't even dare to think about it. They're so amazing in front of us, but in front of that brat, no, in front of that young master, they're not even farts. They're worse than dogs. I think they've hit the nail on the head this time. Let me ask them if it hurts. Hai Shanghai, the princes of the 4 countries, and the 2 divine sons of the Longhu sect all had black lines on their faces. At this moment, they didn't feel tired at all, nor did they feel that there were too many people. They really wanted to strip these people naked and hang them up to dry. For a moment, it was noisy and chaotic, but Chu Yang was very dissatisfied. He immediately shouted, "Where are my nicknames? My idols are Brick Chu, Stripper Chu, and so on. There are so many nicknames, why don't I have one?" He looked disgusted. "I don't know what to say to you guys. You've really disappointed me." After a moment of silence, the people of Sea Demon City couldn't help but grit their teeth. They really wanted to fight this little brat. Was it easy for them? They were already working hard to satisfy this little brat. In front of Hai Shanghai and the others, he poked at their sore spots and ugly faces. Didn't he see that the 7 of them looked like they were going to eat him? Don't feel wronged. You're just stupid. The people of Sea Demon City grit their teeth even more. You're still not convinced. Chu Yang placed his hands on his hips and said, "Then let me teach you guys a lesson. For example, brick number 2, a magical vehicle in the Eastern Wilderness. It has great abilities and boundless magical power. Brick number 2, boundless magical power, immortal blessings, longevity equal to the heavens. Brick number 2 will live on for thousands of years." He knocked the Eastern Wilderness unconscious with a brick. Live on for thousands of years, his name will go down in history. Brick number 2, do as I please, the world is mine. Chu Yang's sudden speech caused everyone to laugh out loud. This was too difficult, wasn't it? In addition to flattering and fawning, they also had to spout nonsense. They even had to be frivolous and frivolous. They had to be shameless to the extreme. Their shamelessness was beyond imagination. However, complaining was useless. They could only hope that the little demon king would not raise the difficulty level. Brick number 2, riding in the Eastern Wilderness, has great magical powers and boundless magical powers. Brick number 2, boundless magical power, immortal blessings, longevity equal to the heavens. Brick number 2 will live on for thousands of years. He knocked the Eastern Wilderness unconscious with a brick. Live on for thousands of years, his name will go down in history. Everyone cheered in unison. Hai Shanghai and the rest of the 7 were no exception. 7-star God was no exception, and the people of the 5-element sect were no exception. No one wanted to be used as an example by this little demon king, stripped naked and hung up to dry. The harp melody saint could only follow behind and cheer with him. He could only surrender to this little brat. Chapter 782. Brick number 2, riding in the Eastern Wilderness. You have great powers and boundless magic power. Suddenly, a shameless voice came from afar. Before the person arrived, the voice had already traveled over. Everyone was shocked. When they looked over, they saw a dazzling golden light. A big-winged gold rock bird spread its wings and flew over from the direction of the demon realm. Behind the big-winged gold rock bird was a 9-headed lion and a winged white tiger. Brick number 2, boundless magic power. You will enjoy immortal blessings forever and live as long as the heavens. Brick number 2, long live. You knocked out the Eastern Wilderness with a brick. You will live forever and leave your name in history. As the big-winged gold rock bird and the others got closer, their flattering voices became louder and louder. Everyone was afraid that they would be outdone by the big-winged golden rock and the other 2. They were afraid that this little devil would find their weakness, so they immediately shouted at the top of their lungs, completely drowning out the voices of the big-winged golden roc and the other two. Bang! As soon as the 3 big-winged gold roc birds landed, they quickly turned into human forms. They were the little gold roc king, King Juling, and winged tiger king. They were the supreme prodigies of the younger generation of the demon clan. Everyone couldn't help but be surprised. The prodigies of the demon clan had improved so quickly. They hadn't been baptized yet, but they had already completely understood the instructions and spirit of the little devil. Young master, riding in the eastern wilderness, boundless magic power. Young master, boundless magic power. You will enjoy immortal blessings forever and live as long as the heavens. Long live the young master. He knocked the eastern wilderness unconscious with a brick. Long live the young master's name. The little gold roc king Sansan immediately knelt down and bowed to Chu Yang. They didn't look like ferocious monsters anymore. They were simply 3 shameless dogs. Young master, my father didn't know you were coming. He offended you just now. He deserves to die. As the little gold roc king spoke, the 9 spirit king and the winged tiger king walked out from behind him. There was a square crystal in King Juling's hand. Within it was a misty and primal chaos. As the misty energy rose, it seemed to faintly form a continent. The winged tiger king, on the other hand, was hugging a large jade-colored egg that was as tall as a person. An intense and vigorous aura of life emanated from within it. Young master. The little gold roc king pointed at the square-shaped crystal and said, "This crystal contains the origin of the eastern wilderness continent. The origin inside can generally form a small continent." It could form a small continent. Chu Yang was shocked. Just how much of the eastern wilderness's source energy is this? No wonder the 4 nations and 3 sects immediately took action. Young master. The little gold roc king spoke again. This egg is a desolate demon egg left behind by our former demon king. This time, we didn't know that young master was coming and offended young master. We know that we are guilty of 1,000 deaths. In our panic and bewilderment, we can only ask for young master's forgiveness with these 2 trivial things. If young master can calm down a little, we will be satisfied. The little gold roc king, King Juling, and the winged tiger king knelt down again and shouted, "Young master, you are a divine being in the eastern wilderness. You are powerful and boundless. Young master's magic power is boundless. You will enjoy immortal blessings forever and live as long as the heavens. Young master, you will live for thousands of years. You will knock the eastern wilderness unconscious with a brick. You will live for thousands of years and leave your name in history." Amidst the loud cheers, Chu Yang was dumbfounded. So much eastern wilderness origin and the desolate demon egg were just 2 small things. Is the demon realm really so afraid of me? He was completely confused and couldn't find any clues at all. Logically speaking, even if his status was noble and the demon realm couldn't afford to provoke him, it shouldn't be to this extent. Swish, swish, swish. Chu Yang had just accepted the 2 items when the 6 of them flew over. However, when they saw Chu Yang, they only looked at him from afar and didn't dare to approach. Chapter 783. At this moment, Chu Yang finally understood what was going on. Little Gold Rock King and the others clearly knew that they couldn't keep the treasures, so they might as well give them to him. Oh. Chu Yang looked at the 6 people and laughed. Before you apologize, can you be a little more sensible? Even those who drink raw meat and drink blood know etiquette, don't you know? Damned brat. Little Gold Rock King Sansan heard the words eat raw meat and drink blood, and his heart was filled with killing intent. Little young master rides the eastern wilderness, his magical powers are vast and boundless. Little young master's magical powers are boundless, he will enjoy immortal blessings forever and live as long as the heavens. Little young master will live for thousands of years, he knocked out the eastern wilderness with a brick, his name will go down in history for thousands of years. The 6 people also sang praises to Chu Yang. Little Gold Rock King Sansan knew the slogan, and so did they. Both sides had actually played a game in the demon realm before. When the bald old man arrived and conveyed Chu Yang's anger, Little Gold Rock King Sansan immediately flew over. Both sides were extremely fast, and soon arrived at the Sea Demon City. On Chu Yang's side, the slogan was earth-shattering. How could they not know? The only difference was that Little Gold Rock King and the others had an idea that the 6 people would rather let the so-called Little Young Master take advantage of them than let the 2 treasures fall into their hands. Not bad, haha. Chu Yang laughed. I wonder what the 6 of you want to give me as a gift. The 6 people couldn't help but stiffen. What gift? They didn't have anything to give, and they weren't prepared. They had been tricked. However, in an instant, one of the 6 people responded. Little Young Master rides the eastern wilderness. His magical powers are vast and boundless. He opened his mouth and said, when the Emperor of Wei heard that he had offended the Little Young Master, he was terrified. He knew that he was powerless to appease the Little Young Master's anger, but he tried his best. He specially sent the Emperor of Wei to the Little Young Master as an apology. I hope that the Little Young Master will not hurt your body because of his stupidity. After that, it was the same for the 3 nations of Wu, Han, and Qi. The Dragon Tiger sect and the 7 Stars sect basically followed suit. In just a short while, Chu Yang had already unified the eastern wilderness. How cunning! Chu Yang cursed in his heart. The position of Emperor and Sect Master were just half-hearted words, and they had given him enough face. At the same time, this was also a test. He could clearly feel that the Little Gold Rock King and the other 6 people were waiting for him to respond. You guys did a good job. What can I not grasp? Chu Yang immediately pointed at the 6 of them. But I'll remember all of you. Wei, Wu, Han, and Qi, as well as the Dragon Tiger sect and the 7 Stars sect, right? How dare you act so pretentious in front of me? Disgusting. I'll teach you guys a lesson sooner or later. The 6 of them immediately expressed their fear, but Chu Yang no longer paid any attention to them. Such a move made the eyes of the Little Gold Rock King and the others flicker, but no one knew what they were thinking. What about the 5 Elements sect? Chu Yang smiled and suddenly looked at the Saint Son of Zither Melody. What does the 5 Elements sect plan to give me? The Saint Son of Zither Melody was caught off guard. His underling actually flipped out at him, but he immediately understood. Chu Yang had flipped out at the 4 nations, 3 sects, and so on. How could he leave out the 5 Elements sect? Keek. The Saint Son of Zither Melody was having a headache over how to answer. Cao Ju had already laughed strangely and said, Young Master, we've already prepared the gift for you. Suddenly, Cao Ju took out firewood, rice, oil, salt, and pots, bowls, ladles, and basins. Everyone couldn't help but be stunned. Chu Yang also stared. Cao Ju smiled and said, Young Master, listen to me. These were originally prepared for your idol. When you enter Emperor Island, these will be useful. After a pause, he smiled again and said, Your idol said that you have to learn how to live. After all, although there are many ingredients in Emperor Island, there are no tools or tools to cook. Such a reason. Was the 5 Elements sect stupid? Everyone was shocked and impressed. Could it be that the 5 Elements sect specially produced strange people? However, Chu Yang laughed heartily. Wonderful, wonderful. This is simply wonderful. My idol is simply too thoughtful. As expected of my idol, he doesn't take the ordinary path. This was actually possible. The 6 people from the 4 nations and 2 sects, as well as the Little Gold Rock King and the others, were all shocked. Just firewood, rice, oil, salt, pots, and basins were taken care of. Everyone couldn't help but be stunned. Wasn't this a bit too outrageous? However, on second thought, there was a reason behind it. It was better to give the right thing than anything else. The 5 Elements sect's words just now had accurately grasped this little devil's vein and hit the nail on the head. As expected of my idol's senior brother. You have a bright future. After being praised, Cao Ju smiled and said, Of course. I will follow behind Big Bastard Chu and Young Master unswervingly. I will contribute to the shameless cause. The Saint Son of Zither Melody also smiled. Whoever dared to say that Cao Ju was a fool was definitely the biggest fool. Cao Ju obviously realized something but pretended not to know. At this time, he came out and put a perfect end to it. Chapter 784. Seeing the saint child's admiring gaze, Cao Ju knew that the saint child was praising him for his wit. His mouth twitched involuntarily. Wit had nothing to do with him. Just now, Chu Yang had sent him a voice transmission. It was only at this moment that Cao Ju realized that the little nephew he was talking about, the so-called young master, was Chu Yang. Bastard Chu, you've really played big. You've fooled everyone like monkeys. Suddenly, Cao Ju realized that he was very familiar with Chu Yang's method. In the Five Elements sect, Chu Yang had used the title I'm the most handsome to cause chaos in the Five Elements sect. Now, it was just that I'm the most handsome had become East Continent's little prince, but he had also turned the Eastern wilderness upside down. Chu Yang had left with the excuse of learning how to cook. He didn't know what happened to the 4 countries, 3 sects, the Sea Demon City, and the Fiend Realm. The only thing he cared about was the battle in the Fiend Realm. He had also received news from the Saint Child that the 4 countries, 3 sects, and the Sea Demon City had joined forces to stop the Fiend Realm from stealing the Eastern Wilderness's origin. The desolate demon prince had fled and disappeared. In the Five Elements sect's encampment, Chu Yang began to absorb the Eastern Wilderness's origin in a secret room. I wonder how much the Eastern Wilderness's origin can improve my genius martial soul and idiot martial soul. Lil Guori wasn't here. Little 6 and Little 5 weren't here either. Lil Guori was too obvious. It was a huge flaw, so Chu Yang sent it away in advance. It was also stupid, so he had to let Little 6 and Little 5 follow him. Chu Yang only planned to improve his genius martial soul and idiot martial soul. He still needed the identity of the East Continent's little prince. If his physical body also broke through to the 2nd level, he would grow by 1 year and become 8 or 9 years old. The change wasn't very big, but if he broke through to the 3rd or 4th level, it would be too obvious. Boom. Soon, 20 dragons appeared in the void behind him. 20 dragon power. Originally, Chu Yang's strength had already reached 15 dragons, and his martial spirits had also been upgraded to 2nd grade. His physical body was only 5 dragons away from perfection. Now that he had absorbed the Eastern Wasteland's origin, his strength had instantly reached 20 dragons. Now that he had reached the great circle of the 2nd layer of the Soul Ascension realm, his small body couldn't help but grow a little taller. Every time he advanced to the 2nd transformation of the Ascending Soul realm, he would generally grow older by 1 year. When he broke through to the 9th transformation of the 2nd transformation, he would more or less recover his original appearance. Now, I'll use the remaining Eastern Wilderness origin source to upgrade my genius martial soul and full martial soul. Chu Yang did not plan on devouring the desolate demon egg right now. He planned to leave it for Little 6 or Little 5, and let one of them enter the egg to revive. 3rd level of the Ascending Soul Realm, 4th level of the Ascending Soul Realm, 5th level of the Ascending Soul Realm. The absorption of the Eastern Wilderness origin source by the genius martial soul and full martial soul was extremely fast. In the blink of an eye, they had completely absorbed the Eastern Wilderness origin source. His physical body, saber and sword martial soul, and flood dragon martial soul were not contaminated by the Eastern Wilderness origin source at all. They were still at the 2nd transformation of the 2nd transformation, but the improvement of the genius martial soul and full martial soul was also very shocking. In just an instant, they had risen by 5 levels. The Eastern Wilderness origin source is really good stuff. It can actually upgrade my 2 great martial souls by 3 levels. It's really incredible. The upgrade of the genius martial soul and full martial soul required a huge amount of energy. Chu Yang knew very well that being able to upgrade them by 3 levels was already far beyond his imagination. Chapter 785. Rumble. Suddenly, Chu Yang's mind trembled. From his forehead, a mental energy fluctuation formed a visible shockwave that rushed out. Everywhere it passed, everything was flattened. Even the houses collapsed. Within his spiritual world, it was a scene of destruction. The entire sky had collapsed. However, this only lasted for an instant. After the sky collapsed, an even wider world appeared in front of him. In an instant, Chu Yang's spiritual world was much wider than before. It was as if a lake had turned into an ocean. Heavenly barrier, rank 5 array master. Chu Yang was shocked. The genius martial soul and idiot martial souls leveling up was like a child becoming a god. The heavenly barrier that bound them was directly broken by them. Haha, the heavens are helping me. I broke through the heavenly barrier and became a rank 5 array master. With arrays, I will have the ability to deal with spirit stage experts in the future. Chu Yang was overjoyed. At this moment, if the entire world was like a martial artist's paradise after reaching the spirit stage, then Chu Yang felt that the entire world was his array. His perception had suddenly become much greater. Currently, the Sea Fiend City was like a clear pool in his perception. He could see through almost everything. The Sea Fiend City's City Lord's Mansion, the Fiend Realm, and the 4 nations' 3 sects encampments in the Sea Fiend City were all within his perception. Not only are there us fiends on Emperor Island, but there are also the descendants of the Eastern Wilderness's great emperor and his loyal subordinates. Right now, Emperor Island has already become the natives there. The Emperor Island is filled with treasures and great fortunes. If one can enter the sealed land in the end, pass the test, and gain the recognition of the Eastern Wasteland Pagoda, unifying the Eastern Wasteland would be a piece of cake. It would be best if we could confirm this brat's identity before he enters Emperor Island. Otherwise, it would cause too much of an impact. It's not easy to go to the East Continent from the Eastern Wilderness. We have to cross many oceans. Even if we reach the Eastern Wilderness, how can we easily investigate this brat's identity? Why would the Gongsun family care about us Eastern barbarians? Who is spying? The moment he broke through to become a level 5 array master, Chu Yang sensed a lot of things, but they were all very fragmented and only a few words. After all, there was a capable person in the other side who had a great shielding effect. However, this was enough. Chu Yang already knew a lot. Half a month later, on the west side of the Sea Demon City, in the endless ocean, there was a mist that seemed to cover the entire ocean. It was hazy and faintly discernible. Not long after, the mist filled the Sea Demon City, causing a commotion in the city. Not long after, a loud sound was heard from the ocean, shaking the heaven and earth. Endless multicolored light shot out, as if a great sun had risen there. At that moment, everyone in the Sea Demon City felt as if a god had awoken from a long slumber in the vast ocean. He opened his eyes from the hazy chaos, and those multicolored lights seemed to be shooting out from his eyes. Rumble. Amidst the vast ocean, thunder and lightning interweaved, the sound of thunder was deafening, and torrential rain poured down. It was as if doomsday had arrived. Emperor Island is finally going to appear and reappear in the world. The passageway is about to open. All the important figures from various forces in the Sea Demon City opened their eyes wide at this moment. They looked at the vast ocean and watched nervously. In the vast ocean, there were raging waves. Huge waves soared into the sky, reaching a height of 100 meters. However, they were still unable to block out everything. A blurry yet incomparably huge shadow was faintly discernible, as if a continent was floating over from afar. Chapter 786. Emperor Island is a world of its own. It is an extremely powerful dimensional space. Today's opening is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Children, this is an opportunity for you, and also a test for you. You might be able to obtain a great opportunity inside, or you might die without a burial ground. It is up to you to decide. An elder shouted loudly, shaking the entire Sea Demon City. This elder did not belong to any faction. Quickly prepare. Our great Wei wants to unify the Eastern Wilderness. This is the best opportunity. If we can obtain the recognition of the Eastern Wilderness Great Emperor and obtain the inheritance, our Wu country will unify the Eastern Wilderness. Even if we cannot obtain the inheritance of Emperor Island, we must not let others succeed. Fei region, you have to be extremely careful. Although the 4 countries and 3 sects have foiled their plans, there are desolate demons suppressed in Emperor Island. If they were to rescue the desolate demons, we would become food for the Fey. The 4 countries and 3 sects, Sea Demon City, and various factions in the Eastern Wilderness had different goals, but at this moment, they were all overwhelmed with emotions. Before the Eastern Wilderness Great Emperor died, he left behind Emperor Island to select the next Great Emperor of the Eastern Wilderness. It could be said that the inheritor of Emperor Island would inherit the Eastern Wilderness. In an instant, the entire Sea Demon City was in chaos. All the major factions were on the move. Everyone was on the move. Many people who were previously silent had now appeared and were no longer hiding. Screech! The little gold rock king was the first to fly over. It transformed into its true form, a 1,000-foot-long gold rock bird with large wings. It spread its wings and instantly disappeared in front of everyone. Roar! King Nine Spirit and Winged Tiger King roared. After the little gold rock king, they also flew towards Emperor Island. Little Ape King, Little Three-Eyed King, Princess Fox, and many other demon races, eagle demons, bear demons, wolf demons, and others also rushed towards the vast ocean. Of course, in the Eastern Wilderness, the strength of the human race was at its peak. Wei country, Wu country, Han country, Chi country, Dragon Tiger sect, Seven Stars sect, various aristocratic families, various large and small sects, as well as Sea Demon City, were all heading towards Emperor Island in the middle of the vast ocean. Young master, can you hurry up? If this goes on, we'll be left behind. When the disciples of the Five Elements sect saw how slow Chu Yang was, they were so anxious that they lost their heads. They even urged Chu Yang to hurry up. Why are you panicking? If you follow me, aren't you afraid that you won't be able to get anything? You're looking down on me. Chu Yang glared. Should I prove it to you first? The disciples of the Five Elements sect came to their senses at once. Don't. Little young master, you're so resourceful and powerful. We misspoke just now. Let's slap ourselves. All right, look at all of you. You're really embarrassing my idol. If I see my idol, I'll surely advise him to leave the Five Elements sect as soon as possible. Everyone from the Five Elements sect was speechless. How was this a disgrace? First come, first served. There were many natural treasures in the Emperor Island. If one lagged behind, there would be nothing left. Little young master, hurry up. There wasn't enough time. The Saint Sun's face darkened. This little brother of his dissed both outsiders and himself. He was always so frivolous. Cao Ju also gritted his teeth. He really wanted to beat up Chu Yang. There were mountains of gold and silver there. Even if he didn't care, they did. All right. I really have to hand it to you guys. Haven't you heard of the saying, good food is not afraid of being late? Those who go in first are just scouting for us. What he said made sense. However, the Saint Sun didn't have time to argue with him. He led the Five Elements sect and rushed out of the Sea Demon City, arriving at the seaside. Boom! In the vast ocean, the primal chaos mist became thicker and thicker. In the end, it surged and roared like waves. It was a spectacular and majestic sight. At this moment, the waves on the sea were even bigger. It was a vast expanse of whiteness, surging up and down violently. It seemed as if the whole world was rumbling violently. Many people had lived for more than half their lives, but this was the first time they saw such a scene. It was simply too majestic. While they were still at the seaside, the Five Elements sect could already feel the endless waves. It was as if there were thousands of soldiers and horses charging towards them. The waves hit the sky, and the rumbling sound shook the heavens. It was boundlessly terrifying. Boom! At the place where the Emperor Island appeared, there was another loud explosion. The misty primal chaos there was dispelled. It was as if there was a big hand calming down the ocean. The waves also gradually calmed down. Chapter 787. Chu Yang was dilly-dallying because he was waiting for Xiao Guori and the others. Now that the Emperor Island had completely appeared, and Xiao Guori was not here yet, it should have entered the Emperor Island alone. Hurry! Saint Child Zither Melody and the others were anxious now. Cao Ju even glared at Chu Yang angrily. Then, he led the Five Elements sect's group and flew towards the Emperor Island with Saint Child Zither Melody. Chu Yang knew that he was being blamed, but he knew he was in the wrong, so he did not throw a tantrum. When the Emperor Island opened, many mystic realms would also open. The treasures inside would fall into the hands of others if they were half a beat slower. The vast ocean was boundless, and the calm was like a large dark blue mirror. The waves gently surged like the breath of a giant, and the raised waves were the cheers or laughter of someone. The Emperor Island did not seem far, but as they flew at high speed, the ocean kept running behind them. The coastline became further and further away, but the Emperor Island was still very far away. The Five Elements sect's group was anxious and flew at high speed. After an unknown amount of time, the Emperor Island finally appeared before everyone's eyes. Rather than calling it an island, it was more like a piece of land on the sea. It was ridiculously huge. When they looked over and saw the Emperor Island, they could no longer see the ocean. The Emperor Island was covered by a huge light shield. The mountain ranges were undulating, and the peaks were towering into the clouds like heavenly pillars. Rivers and lakes could be seen when one looked up. There was even a huge inland sea in the middle. Chu Yang and the others quickly looked away from the Emperor Island and landed on a huge door. This was the only entrance to the Emperor Island. Although it was huge, there were too many people. They could not squeeze in at once. The sea of people was blocked outside, and there were many places where fierce battles broke out. Chu Yang looked at it, and was speechless again. He slowly realized that this time, he had really committed a great sin. The Five Elements sect's group was almost at the back. By the time they entered, the people who entered first would have already had a lot of treasures. Bastard Chu, the elders were still hoping that you would be able to lead us to be the first to take the initiative. This is great. Cao Ju sent a voice transmission, which made Chu Yang angry and embarrassed. He glared at Cao Ju with his pure eyes. Scram! A sea serpent dragon unfurled its 1,000-foot-long body. With a swing of its body, it swept away everything before disappearing into the huge door. Screech! Behind it, a Cyan Luan bird took to the skies, also going crazy. The people and demons in front of it were all swept away, also entering the door. The 7 or 8 sea elephants worked together and ran in unison. They trampled on the earth, creating rumbling sounds. Their speed became faster and faster, overturning everything as they charged in. At this moment, the demon clan of the demon region, as well as the countless sea demons in the sea, all rushed towards the giant door. They were all anxious to enter the Emperor Island and find their own fateful encounters. The many human talents in the eastern wilderness didn't want to be left behind. They leaped up and chased after them. They also charged through the portal and entered the Emperor Island. The more Chu Yang looked at it, the more he felt that his sin was growing. Then, he directly flipped out and roared at the people of the Five Elements sect, "Why haven't you shouted the slogan yet?" He was indignant. "Bastards, these things are all blind. Why aren't they kneeling down to welcome me when I'm here?" The people of the Five Elements sect were speechless. However, Cao Ju, Jin Duo, and the Silver Wolf liked it. They knew that this ancestor was about to flip out, so they immediately roared. "The young master has come to the Emperor Island. His magical powers are vast and boundless." Chapter 788. Chu Yang shrieked. Then, he roared, "All of you deserve to die." Boom! He opened the way. His small body was like a falling star from outer space. He broke through all obstacles and led the people of the Five Element sect through the huge door and into the Emperor Island. Swoosh! 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 The group entered a passageway. It was foggy and extended in all directions. No one knew where it led to. The Saint Sun did not follow them into Emperor Island. Once he entered Emperor Island, his cultivation level would be greatly suppressed and fall below the soul reincarnation realm. Of course, this was not the main reason. The Saint Sun did not care much about the opportunities in Emperor Island. Compared to the East Continent, the Eastern Wilderness was too barren. The Saint Sun had experienced adventures like Emperor Island many times. Emperor Island was not very attractive to him. There are many passageways here. Choose different passageways and you will be sent to different areas of Emperor Island. However, you will gather at the center of Emperor Island. Since the Saint Sun was not around, Cao Ju was the leader of the Five Elements sect. He said, "You can choose where you want to go now. However, I suggest that you follow the young master." Although that was the case, there were still many people from the Five Elements sect who entered the other passageways in twos and threes. Even the Crooked Blade Immortal, Chengfeng, Gongshong and the others had all left. However, most of them still followed Cao Ju. Jin Duo and the Silver Wolf did not leave either. Chu Yang took the lead. He didn't change his direction. He followed the main passage and went straight in. After an unknown amount of time, the cave entrance suddenly appeared in front of them. It was filled with fog. Light shone through the fog and shone in. Then, the group passed through. In an instant, Chu Yang immediately felt an extremely rich essence qi of heaven and earth rushing towards him. It was many times denser than outside. The essence qi was so rich that it almost turned into water. Emperor Island is indeed a treasure. If we cultivate here, we will be able to achieve twice the result with half the effort. The Five Elements sect disciples were very excited. However, Chu Yang's small face was already frowning. The smell of blood. His divine senses were very sharp. His nose had already smelled the faint smell of blood. Immediately after, miserable shrieks were heard. When Chu Yang led the group into Emperor Island, what appeared before them was a bloody world, a world of massacre. They immediately found the source of the mournful screams they heard just now. They saw a 3-meter-long green lizard, like a cat playing with a mouse, swallowing a person bit by bit into its stomach. Listening to this person's screams, the green lizard's face showed a happy expression. Chu Yang's eyes swept across the area. This was an extremely beautiful and peaceful place. The mountain peaks of various sizes were overflowing with brilliance and color, dense with spiritual energy. They were covered with spiritual vines and fine trees. There was a clear and limpid lake in front of them. Strands of spiritual energy rose into the air, shrouded by clouds and mist. It was like a paradise. However, this kind of beauty, this kind of peace, had been completely shattered. Screams, shouts, wails, and cries rose and fell one after another. Blood flowed like a river. Demonic beasts were everywhere, densely packed together. Suddenly, seeing this scene, Cao Ju and the rest suddenly felt their hair stand on end. Their expressions were solemn, and they became alert. Oh my God, there are so many demonic beasts. They are all over the mountain. A Five Elements sect disciple was terrified. His trembling voice broke the silence. Demonic beasts were still appearing one after another. They gathered here from the depths of Emperor Island. The demonic beasts and sea demons that entered through the passageway also gathered with the demonic beasts on Emperor Island to kill the humans. You're tuning in to the Celestial War YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.